It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Great panel for you. Pulitzer Prize-winning author Gary Rivlin is here, the author of AI Valley. Molly White from Web3 is going great. And Sam Abuelsamid, my car guy. We will talk about cars, the brand new Luce from Ferrari. Sam has opinions. Google's changing its search page. Molly's mom has opinions. And what did the Pope say about AI? And why is Gary in agreement? All of that and more coming up on Twit. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twit, This Week in Tech, episode 1086, recorded Sunday, May 31st, 2026. The Great Beagle Migration. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the week's tech news. There's quite a bit of tech news this week, and good news, we have a fabulous panel to cover it. Sam Abuelsamid is here, my car guy from Wheel Bearings Media and the VP of Research at telemetryagency.com. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Leo. How are you today?
I am very, very well. Thank you very much. And it's always nice to see you from Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Yeah.
Home of
Me.
Ford. Of you. Of you.
Yeah, Ford's not here.
Ford's not. Ford's
down the road a
nearby
piece.
in Dearborn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nearby. Molly White's also here, world-renowned Wikipedia editor and the creator of Web3 is going just great. And her newsletter is citationneeded.news. Hi, Molly.
Hello.
How is Web3 going?
Just great. Same as it was.
There's actually some funny Bitcoin news we'll talk about in just a little bit.
Has it fallen over yet?
I would say it fell over quite a while ago, and it just sort of continues. It's like it's going down the stairs or something. It's continuing to fall.
We don't really need to. There's not even a question anymore, is it? It's like if when you talk about NFTs now, nobody goes, "Oh, these are the greatest thing ever."
Yeah, I think people have mostly ditched the Web3 terminology and are just sort of going, still trying to convince people that maybe crypto is a thing or Bitcoin is still a good thing, but you don't hear much about Web3 anymore.
No. But you cover NFTs and crypto on Web3 is going just great. It's all in all of a bundle thing.
Yes.
And it's all in there.
Including Bitcoin, much to the chagrin of some Bitcoiners who are very upset that I
you keep
covered under that umbrella.
you keep man, we're way down, man. And it's all Molly White's fault. That's the
I know.
That's the truth. Also with
if
us,
it wasn't
Gary,
for me, we'd be at $1 million.
If it weren't for you, Bitcoin would be worth $1 million. That's right. That's right. Gary Rivlin's also here, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist. His most recent book, AI Valley, covers Microsoft, Google, and the trillion-dollar race to cash in on artificial intelligence. It's still true. The book came out a year ago now?
Yeah, like 14, 15 months ago.
Yeah. And yet, here we are with the IPOs for OpenAI around the corner and Anthropic around the corner. And I mean, the trillion-dollar race is not yet won.
Yeah, you look at the S1 for SpaceX.
SpaceX is wild.
I actually have it because I just think it's so.
How could anybody read that document and take this company seriously?
There's so many juicy tidbits in there. It came out while we were doing Intelligent Machines on Wednesday last week, and Paris, we lost her because she was like, "Oh my God!" And then there's this, and then there's this. For instance, we're learning about X.com and how little money they're making. What did you notice?
Making how much money they're losing. He talks about the addressable, actionable total. The actionable total addressable market, including 26.5 million. I love the 0.5 trillion to be made in AI, and it just
it's made up.
I really don't. It's a made up number, and they are in a race with a lot of other competitors. It was so Muskian stuff. But actually, my favorite.
Totally par for the course for Elon.
It is.
It's all made up.
Well, so he famously had his pay package that if he could create a colony at Mars and
1 million people on Mars.
A million people on Mars and data centers in space, he'll get this gazillion number of shares.
He'll be a trillionaire.
And it works out that in the S1, even though he's not granted the shares until he reaches these crazy benchmarks, he still gets the votes.
Oh, yeah.
So
like 10 to 1, right? Something like that?
Well, not just 10 to 1, but on shares he does not own until he hits these benchmarks. And yet, the way the S1 is written, he could still vote on the shares he doesn't yet have. He could still vote wild. Using the shares he doesn't have yet. So, and yet, people are probably going to race to buy SpaceX stock when it goes public, right? I mean, doesn't everyone wants, or not everyone, lots of people want a piece of AI. You know, the weird thing about SpaceX is, you know, Starlink's probably their best product, their most profitable product. And so much of that company is wound up in XAI. It's why they're losing so much money, losing tens of billions of dollars to XAI. And, you know, it's called SpaceX. It's still like Meta isn't Meta, but, you know, it still has that name. But people want to own a piece of anything that lets them own a piece of AI. So right.
Well, there's also been a meme stock for years, right? So people probably assume the same thing will happen with SpaceX. Right.
The big difference is SpaceX is rolling in federal subsidies. In fact, they just signed another.
But they still lose money. If you take out Starlink, the actual space business of SpaceX, of launching stuff, loses money.
Right.
So even though they made this amazing breakthrough of reusable rockets that were supposed to make the cost of launches so much cheaper, they still lose money on it.
Well, but you can afford to lose money when you have an $8 billion federal contract, right? I mean, it's really the taxpayers who are losing the money, right?
Well, no, I mean, we're paying, but we're paying less than what it costs SpaceX to do those launches.
So they still lose money even with the federal subsidies?
Yeah, yes. I mean, they're technically not getting subsidies. That's business. I mean, yes, you could
$38 billion in business.
Yeah. And they spend more than that on actually doing the launches.
That's kind of pathetic.
Yeah.
Wasted on Blue Origin this week.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Well, I guess we're in our space segment. Might as well keep going on that. I was going to start with the Pope, but let's talk about Rocket Go Boom. This is the most spectacular rocket explosion since N1 just happened in Florida. This was the New Glenn. And they were just doing a loading. They weren't even launching it, right? Or maybe they were.
They were doing a hot fire test.
Hot fire.
So they load up the fuel, fire the rockets, or fire the engines without actually launching the vehicle. So it's still clamped to the launch pad.
So it wasn't supposed to go in the air, but it kind of sort of did.
Pieces kind of went everywhere, every direction.
An explosion like that is going to go somewhere.
Just damaged the pad significantly. It's the only pad.
I would say more like destroyed the pad.
Yeah, that's the only one Blue Origin has, I think. So they're going to have to rebuild that.
Yeah, the only one for New Glenn. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, kind of the bigger picture here is, NASA, whatever, we're counting on Blue Origin keeping SpaceX honest, right? A competitor. And, they are very far behind all of a sudden.
The N1 explosion was in 1969. That was a Soviet rocket that was destroyed in a launch attempt. That's how long it's been. But, we really kind of started launching a lot more rockets. And Elon has been doing pretty well with his Falcon Heavy and so forth. So what was the New Glenn going to do on the lunar landing? What part of it was it?
It was going to launch the lander, the human lander.
Oh, okay. So much for that.
Actually, the first thing that was supposed to go up was the rover. So they were going to launch a lander that had the new lunar rover on it.
They have two rovers they're going to launch. Yeah.
Right. And that was supposed to go up next year sometime. But it's going to take them a minimum of a year to rebuild that launch complex.
Wow. So
now, SpaceX had SpaceX had some famous kablooies, but
they were lots of them.
They were in the air, right? I mean, it was never on the launch pad. Is that what makes this so unique?
They've had some that blew up on the launch pad. There was a Starship booster that about 3-ish years ago, I think 3-4 years ago. It was one of the first Starship attempted launches, and it blew up on the pad and destroyed much of the pad as well.
So I mean, in a way, we kind of forget because they've had some really successful missions, the most recent Artemis 2 around the moon, and you forget how dangerous and iffy all of this is. This is not easy to do.
And crazy expensive.
And it's crazy expensive. I mean, Jeff Bezos, who funds Blue Origin, can afford to rebuild the pad, but it does slow down NASA's plan to get to the moon.
Right.
Yeah, I think the fundamental difference is that particularly since the Apollo 1 disaster, when they had a fire in the capsule on Apollo 1 before the launch, and the 3 astronauts in there were killed. After that happened, it fundamentally changed the way NASA operated. And they have still had issues since then. Obviously Apollo 13 had problems. We had 2 space shuttles that blew up.
Yeah.
But they spend a lot more time up front testing stuff. And so they've had a much lower percentage of explosions, either at launch or in transit than SpaceX has had. SpaceX, it's move fast and break things kind of philosophy, whereas NASA takes the time. It takes them a lot longer to get there, but they've sent Artemis, they've sent the space launch system around the moon now and back safely with astronauts.
I feel like the tech industry is just bringing move fast and break things to as many industries as possible where you would never want that to be the philosophy.
Well, including the U.S. government and world organizations. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, China just had a rocket explosion too, right? So it's just we forget how dangerous and difficult this is.
One of the things that's in the SpaceX IPO somewhere, they talk about terrestrial launches, point-to-point terrestrial.
Well, that's what they
travel.
want. Yeah, for cargo or for humans?
For humans.
So, like, you could fly from New York to Australia in
basically anywhere on the planet in half an hour.
Yeah.
Given how often these things blow up, do you really need to get to Australia in half an hour? I sure as hell don't. And then there's also the environmental impact, because these things are burning huge amounts of methane. This was a methane all these new rockets, all the SpaceX and Blue Origin, most of these new rocket companies are all doing methane rocket engines. So they're burning enormous amounts of methane. So the CO2 emissions from this, not to mention, just the methane that's vented during the fueling process.
Methane is a far worse greenhouse gas than almost anything. Yeah.
And, you're talking about filling these things with liquid methane. It's because it's a liquid, they're in cryogenic containers rather than in high pressure containers, which means that, this stuff is boiling off continuously. If you ever watch one of these things on the pad, you'll see the clouds streaming off these things as the methane
methane?
The liquid oxygen boils off. And so
Elon loves his methane. He's using it to power his data centers as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't he use it at night? Oh, no, that's something else. Never mind.
No, that's ketamine.
Methane in the morning.
Ketamine.
Ketamine.
Oh, I shouldn't joke about it.
Why not?
Do they mention ketamine and risk factors in the SpaceX IPO?
I did not read the whole thing.
Okay.
I read the articles. It's also interesting. There's this standard thing that people, that publicly traded companies do. Like, you have a number of independent directors. You only do compensation through a subcommittee of independent directors, and they just toss that out the window too. They're not following that practice of having.
It's clearly Elon's company from start to finish, right? He has the
there's no real corporate governance in any of Elon's enterprises,
right? Because it's Elon.
Well, I mean, in defense, go ahead.
The SEC is also a lot less, I think, interested in those types of things these days, and so perhaps not applying the same level of scrutiny to these filings.
Well, and let's not forget the irony of Elon trying to save federal money with Doge.
Claiming to try.
Claiming
to
didn't save much.
money.
May have even cost money. While he's getting $38 billion in federal subsidies, there's a certain irony in all of this.
Yeah, he got his money's worth from his $250 million, whatever the final number was.
That was a good, deal.
And, all the dropped investigations into this practice or that practice. So I guess in defense of Musk here is like, eyes wide open. No one is going to put money in SpaceX and think like, well, at least we're going to get good governance. You're basically betting on Elon Musk.
I don't know. You know what I think you're really betting on? You're betting that others will bet on it. It's like a meme. It's a meme stock. You're betting that it will go up before it goes boom, like the rocket, like Tesla. And you know what? Tesla's still strong, right? Even Sam, I mean, it's still a strong stock, I think, isn't it?
Yes, inexplicably.
Because it's not, the company's not, has suffered a lot ever since Elon took that big political stance.
I mean, if you look at the business itself, what their revenues and profits are, their share price is absurd. It has no connection at all to the actual business. The share price is based almost entirely on people's belief that they're suddenly going to flip a switch someday, by the end of 2020, and turn millions of Tesla vehicles into robotaxis that are generating trillions of dollars in free revenue. And that was going to happen by the end of 2020.
Yeah.
And I believe we may have passed that date. I'm not sure what day it is right now, but I think we missed that deadline.
Yeah.
Well, there's also the argument that they create the technology that other car makers theoretically would want, the BMWs, VWs of the world. But I happened to have written an article on this like 6 months or so ago. And none of the big car companies trust Tesla. There's a couple of startups out there that are selling, you could get the autonomous vehicle technology through them. So even what in my mind would have been one of their big pluses, like, okay, well, we have this amazing technology. Now let's license it to other car dealers. Car makers. No car maker seems to want to trust Elon Musk or Tesla.
They're inspired by it, though, right? I mean, I hear people talking about how much less wiring is in modern vehicles, and a lot of that is because they looked at Tesla and said, "Wow, they really were able to cut down the wiring." You've taught me this, Sam. There's miles of wiring in a typical vehicle, and it weighs a lot. It's it's a cost.
And copper's getting more expensive all the time.
Yeah. So people are inspired by him. But has Tesla found many licenses with car manufacturers?
No, because the problem is most of what they've done is not patentable.
Okay. You can't license it because they just copy you.
Yeah. So I mean, many of the Chinese automakers, they just straight up copied it. Ford is copying it now. Rivian's copying it. Lucid's copying it. GM is starting to copy some of that stuff. So yeah, there's no the problem Tesla has is most of what they're doing has no moat.
Right. They, as I remember, were one of the first to do the metal forming that they do to make the car bodies, right?
Not so much that they were one of the first to do large scale castings for big parts of the structure.
Right.
Yeah. Instead of having 100 small stamped steel pieces and welding them all together, they just turned into one large aluminum casting.
Right.
And again, that's something that, Tesla didn't invent
can't
that.
Patent it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they've been doing large scale castings for a long time. They were the first ones to use it in that particular application.
Were they the first to use these big industrial robots? I remember going when I bought my Model X, taking a tour of the Fremont plant, and they had these giant robots. One of the things they did, and this seemed to me probably not the most efficient, was they would work on the car upside down, and then a robot would come and pick it up and turn it on the other side and then it put it on the assembly line as it continued down the line. That was impressive.
Those robots have been in use since the mid 1980s.
Oh, okay. So that wasn't
and flipping cars over, to give easier, provide better ergonomics for the people bolting parts on. And again, that's also something that's been done for decades.
Oh, okay. You know what else has been done for decades? Racism on the assembly line. And
that was big at on the Model T line back in the 1910s and 1920s.
Yeah, Henry was noticeably racist. I guess Elon.
Elon Musk is more like Henry Ford in some of the worst ways possible.
A California court said that's going to go ahead, that lawsuit against Tesla for racism. So Elon was trying to get that thrown out. He did win in court, though, against Sam Altman. No, he didn't. Never mind.
Those are lawsuits where it's like, you don't want anyone to win those.
Yeah, no, nobody wins those kinds of lawsuits.
That would be cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, I wasn't going to start the show with all that, but we did, and I think it's interesting. That rocket explosion was certainly dramatic. I remember it was
spectacular.
Yeah. Saw a lot of Ring camera videos from people miles away as the sky lit up. Huh. It's interesting. Yeah, we see things from many angles these days. All right, well, let's take a little break, and then we'll talk, because I know, Gary, you wanted to talk a little bit about this, about Pope Leo and his encyclical on AI. Yeah. Which I think, on the face of it, is kind of an interesting juxtaposition of a church as essentially a medieval institution weighing in on the most modern possible technologies.
Well, and the religion of AI. I mean, you talk to some of these folks, they talk about AGI. It does feel very religious.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. We will talk about the new. Actually, I'm curious what Sam thinks of the new Luce, the Ferrari, or is it Luce?
Luce.
Because it's Italian. Luce, designed by Jony Ive. It has switches, ironically. Johnny was famous for not liking buttons, at least when it was Apple. And a lot more, including how Google is changing search dramatically. Plus, Wikipedia editors threaten to go on strike, and Molly's going to explain what that one's all about in just a little bit. Oh, and the little Easter egg, somebody buried in the blockchain.
One of many.
One of many. It never, by the way, it's beautiful because it never goes away. It lives forever in the blockchain. And you will be downloading it the next time you check your wallet. Let's take a little break. You're watching This Week in Tech. Gary Rivlin is here. His book, AI Valley, I read it, really enjoyed. And it's interesting because it really is completely timely. Last time we talked, you were going to work on another book about AI, or how's that? What's that?
I was looking at AI and energy, but I felt like I was really early on that. Like the data centers, how it's going to overtax the grid and all this stuff. But I wrote the proposal. By the time I was passing it around, my agent was passing it around, like everybody knew that story. I mean, I'll give the mainstream media credit. The Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, etc. of the world, like they've really been on it. So it's one of those things like, wow, this is underreported story that I thought of about a year ago, and now, I mean, I wouldn't call it overreported. I think it's appropriately reported. So still thinking.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, if you're writing about AI, it's hard to stay ahead. I mean, I've never seen anything in technology move so fast. And I've been covering technology for 3 or 4 decades now, and this is the fastest moving story ever. We could do 50 AI stories a day if we wanted to.
What percentage would be interesting? But anyway, I know what you're saying. Like 2 years ago, Google was fumbling all over the place. Now I would say Google's leading the way on AI. So
for the moment.
Anthropic was was kind of the also ran to OpenAI. Now it's in every way, whether it's paper value through investments or how its models are doing on the leaderboard. They're now
profit.
First.
Even in profit,
right?
Anthropic's pulled ahead.
I was shocked by that.
They released a new model this week that's crap, but we'll talk about that too.
Well, they had the enterprise. They figured out that the way to pay for all this research is to get big businesses and all, and they've done a great job of that. Now OpenAI is scrambling. But my point is, like a year ago it was OpenAI, and now Anthropic. So you are right. It is constantly changing.
No one's on top. This is a horse race where the lead changes every 2 seconds. It's just bizarre. It's just wild. Yeah, I wouldn't want to try to write a book. Pick something that's not going to change. Maybe the Catholic Church would be a good subject. It's something that's not going to change for a few hundred years. That would be the topic.
Or how about the way that some of these AI infrastructure companies are influencing politicians to get approval for data center locations where people living there don't want them.
It's fascinating to watch.
Overwhelmingly unpopular. Gallup just did a great poll on it.
They said 71% of Americans do not want a data center anywhere near them.
Yeah, I mean there are two that are trying to build within a few miles of me here, and many more around Michigan. And Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer has been hugely supportive, really pushing these things, and nobody in any of these municipalities wants them anywhere near them.
Right.
So the question I'm trying to figure out on that is it because like it's a noisy neighbor, the what's it going to mean for the grid and your electricity prices, or is it just simply a physical manifestation of AI and we don't like it, and so we oppose data centers because it's really the only way we can express our dislike with AI short of booing someone during a commencement speech?
I would say it's actually all of the above.
Yeah,
I'll add one more thing.
All of that.
Utility prices. The cost of electricity skyrocketed for a variety of reasons, I suppose, but I think people blame data centers for that, and they may be right.
Well, they are. It was flat for years.
Right.
It was flat for years. In the last few years, it's gone up. I had the stat in my head a couple of months ago when I was doing this, but it's gone up 25%-ish over the last 4 or 5 years. It's gone up a lot.
James Carville, who said it in 1992, and it's still true. It's the economy, stupid. People vote their pocketbooks, and a politician who ignores that does so at their own peril. I'm sure Governor Whitmer supports data centers because it's good for the economy, right? It's good for the Michigan economy. It's good for the tax base.
I think a lot of the opposition also comes from the fact that the data center, the people who are pushing to build the data centers try to position it as good for the local economy because it will create jobs.
Exactly.
But there's actually not that many jobs involved. There's a construction period, which involves jobs. But then, once you have an established data center, it's kind of a skeleton crew just keeping things going. And so people sort of see through that argument and they say, why are we subsidizing this? Why are we welcoming this when it's not bringing jobs, it's not helpful for the economy locally, and it's introducing noise pollution, environmental pollution in some cases, and so on.
Here's this is a datacentertracker.org website where they track data center build-outs, community response, and legislative action. And it is a very volatile situation right now with data centers. I mean, there's just no question about it. Places that they've been banned, places that they're going ahead, moratoriums.
And now we're seeing the AI industry building these lobbying arms as well to try to get basically preemption over the state level regulations and in some cases the moratoriums against building this. And it's sort of the crypto industry playbook of dumping hundreds of millions of dollars into politics to try to find Congress people who are willing to push for the pro-AI legislation. It's really horrifying.
Oppose us and we'll spend millions to defeat you. Support us, be out front, and you be one of our advocates, and we'll give you millions, tens of millions to make sure you get reelected, get elected.
Yeah, it's literally the same strategy. I have a project called Follow the Crypto where I follow the crypto election spending, and I'm releasing it I think this coming week, but I've done a huge overhaul to incorporate the AI spending because they're so similar that you can't talk about one without talking about the other.
Is this followthecrypto.org? Is that yours?
Currently, it's going to be renamed because it's going to be AI and crypto.
I think this is where data science is so great. Are you a data scientist by training, Molly?
I'm a computer scientist by training. I'm not a data scientist. Yeah.
But this is what data science can give you is some real clarity on this stuff. I think this is a really good use of your skills. Good. Well, we'll keep an eye on follow. So it won't be follow the crypto. It'll be follow the money.
I'm renaming it to Tech Influence Watch because it's.
I like that. That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can just follow
the citation needed banner. So I'm just sort of centralizing my various
subscribe to citation needed. Support Molly's work and keep up to date on this stuff. It's a really great newsletter. Yeah,
it sounds great. You could just follow Andreessen Horowitz because they, to me, merge crypto and AI. In fact, I live in the congressional district where Alex Barros, that's who I'm going to end up voting for, where millions, probably tens of millions, are being spent to defeat him. State legislator came up with some, pretty mild, I thought, legislation that made sense. And of course, crypto/AI wanted to did defeat it, and now they're spending all these millions of dollars. He worked for Palantir for a while. He's a data scientist, Alex Burrows, and I get hit mail probably once a week, funded in part by Palantir, also Andreessen Horowitz,
OpenAI.
Hysterical. Wait. Besmirching him like, how could you vote for this guy? He worked for Palantir. Yeah. And it's Palantir literally paying for those mailers.
Wow.
Yeah, the crypto industry has done the same thing where they basically are attacking, they ran attack ads against, I think it was Juliana Stratton maybe, for trying to portray her as being funded by ICE contractors.
They spent $9 million to keep her from getting elected.
Yes, right. But meanwhile, half of the people who are donating to the super PAC that was funding that ad have ICE contracts, and it's who signed off on this?
Let's take a little break. We will have more with this left-wing Marxist communist red diaper baby panel in just a little. I don't know. I'm just saying something.
I've been a lefty all my life.
To keep the red folks sticking around for a little bit longer. It's good to have all three of you. Thank you, Gary, Molly, and Sam. We'll have more in just a little bit. But our first word from our sponsor. This Week in Tech, brought to you this week by The Mill. I love my Mill. Honestly, I didn't think a kitchen appliance would be the thing that changed how I felt about my kitchen. But the Mill food recycler has really become something Lisa and I cannot live without. We got one in October. Let me just pull it up here. It's got a great app. We want to be good citizens. The number one cause of food waste in America is not, as one would think, restaurants. It's home. It's the food that's thrown out at home, and it goes into the landfill, which is kind of a problem. Our locality has now composting, but that's not a great solution for us because it starts to smell and there's fruit flies. We found a kind of perfect solution. The Mill. The food waste is gone. The smell is gone. Mill just took care of it. Mill is the odorless, effortless, fully automated food recycler. It's in our kitchen. Instead of having the little recycle bin next to the kitchen sink, we have it right there next to the counter. Everything goes in it: potato peels, avocado pits, chicken bones, dairy, all the scrapings from all the plates at the end of the meal. Mill takes almost anything, and then while you sleep, Mill quietly transforms those food scraps into nutrient-rich, shelf-stable grounds. No more mess, no more smells, no fruit flies, and it really reduces the size of it. Mill can process up to 10 pounds overnight. We fill it up every day. It can work for weeks before you even have to think about emptying it because it reduces it significantly in size. You can use the grounds in your garden, add them to your curbside compost. Mill will even pick them up and get them to a small farm for you. Mill turns what is really a huge climate problem and a landfill problem into a simple daily habit you can actually stick with, and we love it. You can see your impact. The Mill app, I'm going to launch it here. It tracks how much food you're keeping out of landfills. And look at this. This is since October. We've had it since October. That's 413 pounds that would have gone into the landfill that now goes into the compost bin without the smell, without the muss, without the fuss. 413 pounds since October. That's our family. That's us. And you'll have the same stat in your app. It's really incredible. It even shows you how much you're recycling every month. We were on vacation for 3 weeks in May, so it's a little lower. They gamify it, which is kind of fun. So far, Mill has helped customers put 21 million pounds of food out of the landfill. 21 million pounds of food put to good use. It's a sleek, beautiful device. Looks great in any kitchen. Mill offers a 90-day risk-free trial. So if you don't absolutely love it, you can send it back. And right now, you can try Mill risk-free for 90 days and get $75 off at mill.com/twit. Use the offer code TWIT. That's $75 off. Mill.com/twit. The offer code is TWIT. We bought this, like I said, in October, long before we were doing ads. In fact, I said, can we do ads for you? Because I think this thing is the best thing ever. I want everybody to use it. Mill.com/twit. We love it. You will too. All right, back to...
Leo, before you go on, I got a question for you about Mill.
Yes.
So when you buy one of these, do you then have to pay to ship the stuff back to them? Because I know there was another company that was doing this that originally you couldn't do anything with this stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Mill, but one of them was you would pay a subscription fee. They'd take it and you'd mail it back and they'd use it for chicken feed. No, once you buy it, that's it. There's no fee.
You can use this stuff in your own garden. You can
it makes
throw
great
it in your composter and
it looks like coffee grounds when it's done.
Yeah.
It's just completely dehydrating it. It's a dehydrator. It's stirring it and dehydrating it. So it looks like coffee grounds. Ours smells like coffee grounds because that's where I put my coffee grounds.
Yeah, we put our coffee grounds in our composter too.
It's great for compost. The only thing that, and they tell you what you can and can't put in there. If you're going to use it for animal feed, for instance, don't put things like marigolds in there. There are plants that are they're poisonous. You don't want to give to the animals. On the other hand, if you're using your garden, I think
meat in it, because I know a lot of people who compost in piles don't compost meat.
We put meat in it
for control. Yeah,
we put everything in it. I think like really beef bones you can't put in it, but chicken bones you can put in it. It's kind of wild.
As long as it's something that can break, the chicken bones break down fairly easily. The beef bones are a lot tougher. If you wouldn't feed it to your dog, then then you can feed it to the mill. I don't know about the logic of that one.
I definitely don't feed coffee grounds to my dog. He's got enough energy.
No, it's kind of wild. It's really, we have ours go off at 9 at night. So as we're going upstairs, I hear that click, and then the next morning you look at it, it's like, where did it's all like. It's just like coffee grounds in the bottom.
I would be so tempted to put things in there that you're not supposed to put in there just for, it's like the will it blend, will it compost?
Yeah. Well, when we first got it, we didn't know, like we'd put tea bags in it. And it turns out the string gets wrapped around the stirrer and it starts to go clonk, clonk. So there's certain things you learn.
Just use loose leaf tea.
Yes. Loose leaf tea is fine. And the tea bags are fine. And the coffee filters are fine. It has on the app, it says what you can, but pretty much you put everything in there. I think everything goes in there. It's kind of amazing.
And we're each getting one free for appearing on the show. Was that the deal?
Congratulations. I wish. You know what? I'll talk to Mill.
And not just this.
Well, especially if you live in the city. I mean, what do you do with compost if you live in the city? I don't know.
Well, they have bins.
They do have compost bins.
It's like a block from here. There's
you have to walk down the street with your little leaky bucket.
Yeah, and eventually it's starting to become on the street, just like with recyclables.
Yeah, that's what they're doing in California.
It's a process.
Now. I was happy that they started doing that.
We've been composting for about 30 years, so.
Like when I lived in Santa Cruz, we had and you go out with a pitchfork and you turn it and you put worms in it.
We have a big tumbler. It's like a 55-gallon barrel.
Yeah, cool.
Just fill it
and it generates heat.
Flip it over. Yeah,
because it's decomposing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to have
has like a traditional compost pile and one of those countertop composters. I don't know if it's the Mill or not, but they use the countertop composter to like pre-compost the meat and things like that they wouldn't want to put directly into the pile, and then they put the result into the pile.
That's what you would do with the Mill, exactly. Yeah. Pope Leo, who named himself after. He's
the greatest podcaster on the planet.
Yeah.
Named himself after me.
He's a fellow twit. I do that. I mean,
I wish he hadn't picked Leo because it is a little confusing. But
not really to the rest of us. But
no, I think everybody knows the difference.
You.
Padre probably suggested the name to him.
Well, it was a little weird. Father Robert was on Intelligent Machines on Wednesday, and he kept saying Leo, and I said Mutt. And oh no, that guy. Okay, yeah. So he named himself after Leo the 13th, who was Pope at the turn of the 20th century, between 1800 and 1900, and wrote an encyclical about the industrial age, 100 years after the beginning of the industrial age, but asking, to be more humane in the conversion to industrial life. And I think that's when Pope Leo was elected, he decided to choose that name for that because he wanted to honor that and do the same for our modern times. So we've been kind of waiting for Leo XIV's encyclical about the power of AI. And I don't know, you said, Gary, you had, first of all, I'm not a Catholic. Are any of you Catholics?
I was raised Catholic, but left at about the age of 13.
Yeah, my dad
didn't want to be confirmed.
Catholic. Yeah, my dad went to Fordham, Jesuit school in high school, and but he kind of was a lapsed Catholic too. So my daughter is converted. A lot of people in her age group, she's 34. A lot of people in their late 20s and 30s apparently are turning to the church. Interestingly, it's a trend. Molly, are you becoming a Catholic?
Believe it or not, I have missed that trend. I'm usually so on top of trends.
Yeah, you missed it. She's actually at a retreat with the Sisters of Providence right now in Western Massachusetts, believe it or not. So I am myself, and I think it's pretty well known, an atheist. I'm not a particularly religious fella. And so I was a little skeptical that the Pope would have anything meaningful to say about AI. Actually, I thought what he said was pretty good.
Yeah, I loved what he said. I mean, first off, at least someone in power is talking about this. We need human-centered AI. We need humans in the loop. My idea of AI, where I can embrace AI, is as a co-pilot, an amplifier. It's like it's helping me in my work. It's never running things. And I do think there's this thought out there that AI can take over, as a boss, which is getting a lot of attention, but, take over essential functions. And, that was my favorite part of it. But really my favorite part of it was just that he was speaking out about this idea that, we have this small group of tech elites deciding everything. This, Silicon Valley idea, we just got to get a few smart people in the room kind of thing. It just ain't going to work for AI. They themselves talk about how powerful and everything this stuff is. And so, kind of taking on this idea that, a small group in Silicon Valley and Beijing are going to determine, AI for everyone. And by the way, I saw this thought out there in Silicon Valley, the Pope doesn't understand anything about AI. It's really interesting. Since like the mid 2010s, the Vatican has been looking into AI. They sent a group of cardinals, I think it was, to Silicon Valley. They met with people like Reid Hoffman, James Magnifica from Google, to start the conversation going like, what is AI? What's its potential? And there's been a group every year going to the Vatican. I know Hoffman goes regularly, Kevin Scott, the CTO of Microsoft, other big names in AI or in tech go. So, they've really been wrestling with this. I think it is a thoughtful document because the Vatican, the Pope and the people helping him with this have been thoughtful about it. I assume he didn't write 42,000 words on his own in so short a period of
It's so funny because there were people who said, oh, you could tell this is AI written. Which Father Robert assured us it was not AI written. He said there's no AI involved in this encyclical. This was written by, you're right, not merely Pope Leo, but a committee of church people. And Robert pointed out, and I think this is true, that Pope is not merely a religious leader. He's in many ways a secular leader. He's a political figure, leads more than 1 billion Catholics worldwide. He has standing to talk about this. And as a humanist, which I think it's safe to say he is, I think it's important. I didn't really disagree with anything he said. He wasn't anti-AI, it seemed to me, right? Well,
he was actually very specifically pro-AI in the sense that he sees lots of benefits from AI. But, I think if I had to boil it down, like the tech isn't the issue. We're the issue.
Yes,
exactly. It's like who's controlling this, who's not controlling it. Our approach in the last couple of years, it breaks in 2023 when I started, at the end of 2022, I started looking at AI and kind of through the first half most of 2023, we were talking as a country about AI. Sam Altman saying, regulate us, the senators, members of Congress, we're all talking about it, and it went poof. And now there's all these things that he brought up, AI in the use of warfare, AI in mass surveillance, AI and the baked-in bias. It's trained on our data, our works. Well, we have bias in our work, sexism, racism, whatever kind of thing. And yet we want to use it for sentencing. We want to use it to decide whether you should get a job, whether you should get this apartment, and all. So I don't know. I feel like we started to have a conversation. In part, we had a change of administration, but more than that, I think it just became this $1 trillion race to cash in. Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, et cetera, all threw safety over the wayside and became like, well, we can't do anything to stop this because of China, China, China. And at least that Pope Leo, he gets the story page one. He's articulating, I think, all the right issues. Will it make a difference? I don't know, but at least somebody's fighting back. At least somebody's articulating kind of a better vision than, let's just let this thing ride and AGI is around the next corner.
It's, I think, appropriate to step back and take a breath. And that's part of the problem with the way AI has been moving. There's such competition, such a race, as you point out, Gary. Competition between the companies, but also between us and China, that nobody's kind of really sitting back and saying, well, what is this? Do we want it? How should we proceed? How should we think about it? What guardrails should we put on it?
I mean, it's kind
Molly,
of
it reminds me of crypto in many ways.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's kind of the classic idea that, any innovation is good. And so you hear all of this talk of like, we have to protect innovation, which usually means no regulations. But, I feel like no one ever actually decided that all innovation is good. In fact, I think there are plenty of innovations that we would argue are not good. I mean, like asbestos was not particularly good, right? And so, there's this idea that if it's innovation, we have to just go with it. And, there's this idea that any technological development is inevitable. And you hear that explicitly from a lot of these people, is that AI is inevitable, so just get out of the way. If we don't do it, China's going to do it, so we have to do it. And I think the Pope did a really good job of pushing back on that and saying that, like, ultimately, this is a technology developed by humans. We, as humans, have the ability to decide whether or not to develop it or how to go about developing it. And it's not inevitable. Like, we have the decision, the capacity to make the decision that this is not something that we think would be useful, or this is not something that we want to hand off to 5 billionaires who, have their own motivations and not much interest in the public good. So I really enjoyed it for that particular reason.
There is a big backlash against tech going on right now. And AI has sped that up
for about a decade.
Well, yeah, but I mean, look at what we were just talking about with data centers. The number of people, the booing at college commencements. AI has become, in some ways, a whipping boy for all of this technology and all of this big tech. And I think
it helps that I think every tech company is pushing AI, right? So it's
pushing it down our throats,
right.
And I am a proponent. I love AI. I use it like crazy. In many ways, I've done a lot of vibe coding. I have an AI agent that knows way too much about me. I'm playing with this because I feel like it's an important technological revolution. But even I acknowledge that there are some big issues, and that we really need to be a little bit careful. Go ahead.
If you look at the polling on this, so Quinnipiac, I think it's called, just did a recent poll, and 65% of Americans are in favor of some guardrails, some regulation. Only 22% agree with this argument, like, oh, if we put down regulations, we're going to kill innovation. A favorite example is, I'm not the only one to use it. You hear it a lot in AI. Those guys, there's the doomers, and I don't put myself on that side. There's the zoomers. Any regulation is a crime against humanity, given all the good that AI could do. I'd call myself a bloomer. I see its potential if we're smart, if we take advantage of our agency here. Like, 'cause, I mean, every foundational technology cuts both ways. I mean,
yes,
the internet, the car,
the atomic bomb. Or atomic energy. Yeah.
I use the example, but like, it did fireproof.
Yeah.
But we weren't smart about asbestos. Can we make it so it's more of a net positive? There will be negative things that happen because of AI, but I still think we're at a point, we have agency. If we're having a discussion, we can make this more of a net positive than a net negative. But Sam, go ahead.
I mean, coming from the auto industry perspective, the auto industry has had a huge amount of regulation in the last 60 years. And we've had more innovation during that time, in part because of that regulation, than we had in the 60 years before that, the first 60 years of the auto industry. So, our cars are safer, more efficient, have better performance than they've ever had in the entire history of the industry. And a lot of that is because of the regulation that we put on the industry. Anytime you're designing something in engineering, having constraints forces you to be more creative. When you're left unconstrained, you end up with something like the Ferrari Luce, which, we may talk about that later, but the constraints force a degree of creativity and innovation to figure out how can you work within these constraints and still create a better product.
And I bet the audio industry, just as the big tech does now, lobbied hard against those regulations.
Oh, they did, absolutely.
They didn't want seatbelts. They didn't want
it's been to their benefit, and it's been to all of our benefit.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, there's also the trust. There's also the trust factor. I use the example of the railroad, where it was really dangerous when it first came out, and the railroad companies opposed any kind of regulation. Government said no, track size and block signaling and all this kind of stuff, and it made it safe. And by the way, it thrived not despite regulation, but because of regulation. It just, people trusted the railroad that I'm not going to die.
Same with aviation.
Aviation, for financial markets. I mean, like you hear a lot of, especially in the crypto world, you hear people saying that it's financial regulations that are slowing everybody down, but people trust American financial markets hugely because of the regulations that are in place. And when that regulation goes away, you start to see what we're seeing now, which is declining trust in American financial markets.
Right. Part of the problem, though, with regulating AI is how. It's not hard to say, well, a car should be safer, and to know kind of how you go about that. I don't even know how you make AI safer. Do we even know what the risks are?
Clearly, you have to let Donald Trump evaluate all the models before they're released.
Well, it's interesting.
That's obviously the answer.
Trump, it was part of the way Trump got elected was by promising the crypto bros and the AI bros there would be no regulation. One of the first things he did when he got in the White House is overturn Biden's AI executive order. And yet, as soon as Mythos came out, that model from Anthropic that Anthropic held back because they said if everybody got a hold of this, we would have a cybersecurity nightmare because it's so good at finding cybersecurity flaws. That scared the White House, and I think he drafted an executive order that said we have to approve all AI models before they're released. And then apparently companies, and particularly David Sachs, his former crypto advisor and AI czar, AI and crypto czar, who was put in there basically by Peter Thiel to protect the AI and crypto industries. Apparently, in an 11th hour call, this is according to the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, to the White House, persuaded him not to put out this executive order. But there's definitely this sense in D.C. that from Congress too that we've got to do something. Question is what?
Yeah, well, I mean,
approving models is not the right answer. You don't want the government to be in charge of saying which models are released and which ones aren't.
I would push back a little bit on the idea that the promise was no regulation from Trump, because I would say that the promise was actually, we'll let you write the regulation.
Okay,
captured regulation.
The companies actually really do want regulation that benefits them, right? And that entrenches their position while making it more challenging for competitors to enter the field. And I think that's what we've seen with crypto, and certainly it's what a lot of the AI lobby groups are pushing for as well, is, you have this sort of like competing factions within the AI lobby where there's the OpenAI and, those folks who are basically all gas, no brakes. We don't want any states to, regulate us and enforce moratoriums on building data centers or, make us liable for harms caused by our products. And then there's the Anthropic lobbying group, which is saying, oh, we need regulations that are safety. We need to have controls and guardrails and things like that. But both of them are essentially doing the same thing, which is lobbying for their particular interests and sort of building a moat using regulations around their corporate business model, essentially.
But who has the wisdom to come up with good regulations?
None of them, that's for sure.
Or Congress. Does Congress?
Yeah.
I mean, even Ron Wyden, who's very techno-literate, I'm not sure. I don't know who I would say.
I mean, I think that the thing with Congress people is, most Congress people probably don't have a particularly strong grasp of AI or, frankly, most of the issues that they're tasked with legislating.
No,
but
they have staff.
They have staff who do. And I have actually found that there are a fair number of Congress people who do have very informed staff. And it used to be that you would consult, the President's Council of Advisors on science. Well,
we had the Office of Technology Assessment, too, which Newt Gingrich put out of business.
And that used to be computer scientists and doctors and, professors and all that kind of thing. And now you look at the list of people on that council and there's, I was tweeting about it a while ago, or blue skying, skeeting, whatever you call it.
Skeeting. You were skeeting.
Yeah, that there are more members of the All In podcast on the Council of Science Advisors than there are professors.
Yeah,
it's just all CEOs. So who do you turn to right now? It's all industry executives.
I'm not sure I trust professors either, though. I don't know who. I don't know who would know how to.
Well, I don't think we should trust anyone. I mean, I like the idea that we have a dialogue with ethicists and, policy people and, a wide range.
How about the Pope? Can we trust the Pope? Should the Pope be in charge? He did not make any recommendations, by the way.
But there are all sorts of, for these foundational models of a certain size, you need to red team them first before releasing them. That's an idea. The whistleblower protections.
That no matter what kinds of safety procedures you follow or guardrails, that within minutes, Pliny the Liberator will come up with a prompt that bypasses them. It is very hard. I think we've talked about this before on Security Now and other shows. The notion of AI safety might be mistaken, that it's not possible to.
Well, I think that begs the question then is if it's not possible to build a safe model, should we be building the models at all, right?
Or should we just acknowledge that they can't be made safe any more than the internet can be made safe?
Well, but then what do we use it for? Do we use it for mass surveillance? Anthropic took a principled stand
and said,
no.
That would be the smartest thing to do, is to say, don't use it for things where there is potential harm. Because it's not reliable. It can't.
And there is legislation out there, in different states, in Congress. There is legislation. There's, kind of intellectual property rules. What can you use for training? How do you compensate those whose material, including mine, including probably everyone on this podcast, is in there. So there are all sorts of ideas out there. But I think, to Molly's point, the power of the crypto lobby, the power of the AI lobby, the power of tech right now means that everything's a non-starter. I mean, so, let's give Trump credit. He's like, okay, well, maybe we do need to have some kind of regulation out there. I don't, it was never released, so it's hard to critique it. But you just see, it wasn't just Sachs. I mean, Musk, some of the CEOs of, I don't know, specifically, Google and or
I'm
Meta
sure Mark Zuckerberg weighed in.
Zuckerberg was one of the names that they all kind of no, you can't do this, and he pulls it even though it's in front of all of us, right? This wasn't just some private thing. Right. The announcement was made, and so we can't do anything. We can't do anything because the industry is so powerful. They have so much money, and they have the majority of folks in their pocket, so everything will die in the vine.
Well, and I think it's a really strong indictment of Citizens United because, if you look at it from the company's perspective, if they stand to make billions of dollars and the choice is basically, do we spend $100 million on lobbying and super PACs, of course they're going to do it. The payoff is huge, right? It's just simple math.
Right.
And so, I think it's really sort of a predictable outcome that we're seeing this kind of thing coming out of the crypto industry, out of the AI industry, and certainly I think probably any other industry to follow because, the returns are huge when you can capture regulators, legislators, the president, right?
Well, I mean, this is a larger rule of American politics, that money talks. And when that's the case, you're never going to have a society that looks out for the people in society. You only have a society that looks out for people with money, because they're
in the context of this show, it's Andreessen Horowitz that's the number one donor, not a bank, not the bank industry, not the oil industry. They are the number one giver to the current.
More than Elon?
During the 2026 election cycle. So,
okay.
Yeah. So and
you know what? They looked at Elon and the $250 million he spent to make himself a trillionaire 2 years later, and said that was money well invested, and they're doing the same.
And they spent $100 million plus.
Success. Yeah. I mean, they spent heavily in 2024 as well and had wonderful success with that. So I think it's no surprise that we're seeing them putting money towards, again, both crypto and AI.
Really, the answer is, and Larry Lessig's been saying this for years to no avail, you got to get the money out of politics before you can even talk about AI regulation or any kind of regulation, because if money's driving policy, it's always going to be policy that supports people with money.
Right.
It's just that's how it is.
And I think what's
unfortunately that's going to be incredibly difficult to do, because essentially
a constitutional amendment.
Yeah, we would need to pass a constitutional amendment,
and that's not
because the Supreme Court has made it clear.
Right.
Most of the members of this court, have made it pretty clear.
They already ruled that they allowed Citizens United. That was their statement on this.
One third of this court was not on the bench when that was decided, but they would clearly support it.
Right.
So
it's settled law.
We obviously need some fundamental changes to the Constitution, to get that money out of the system.
And we've already seen how much courage, how much spine members of Congress have.
Yeah, well,
when it comes to doing,
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but
that make it hard to get elected. They're really, really adamant.
One thing I would say is that it's actually hugely popular among
left and right. It's not just
we the people want this.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I do actually have some hope in the long term, certainly not the short term, that something like this could happen, because we see over and over again that when it's put to everyday people, everyone supports it. I mean, Maine had a referendum question in 2024 that passed with 75% of the vote, which is enormous, to basically limit, corporate spending in politics. And that's been repeated in multiple places. And, I think this election cycle, we're seeing more and more candidates who are acknowledging the fact that people are actually pretty sickened by corporate spending in politics. And you see, this wave of candidates who are refusing corporate contributions or super PAC money or whatever it might be. So I do think there's something of a shift. And I think that voters are fairly disgusted by any overt spending when they know about it. But I do think that you're right. It's a big hill to climb.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is most of what's being spent is dark money that we don't know where it's coming from.
But let's point out, what is the money being spent on? The money is being spent on advertising,
TV ads,
on brochures. If all money gets you is votes. If the people stop being influenced by what the money's buying and start paying attention to the issues and voting their conscience, the money won't matter. Am I wrong on that?
You're right in principle. The problem is getting to that point where people do ignore those advertising messages.
That's a message for our audience, because tech people tend to be kind of, your vote doesn't matter. I would bet a large portion of our audience doesn't vote because it doesn't matter. They're cynical. They tend to be cynical. They're smarter. So they tend to be cynical. It's not going to make any difference. My vote doesn't count. So that's what we have to overcome. We have to overcome that sense of apathy, that sense of cynicism, and especially in the people who listen to these shows, because I think it strikes me, these are the people who are particularly cynical about the whole process.
Yeah. I mean, in 2024, there were as many people who were eligible to vote that did not vote as voted for either party.
Right. It's always been that way. The huge percentage of people who just don't vote. And a lot of them are
also, I mean, part of the problem there is, because of the way our election system is structured, especially at the presidential level, with the electoral college, that it's only a handful of states where it ever really switches back and forth, and where
Those swing states,
where the votes actually make a significant difference in who gets power.
Yeah, so close.
But I mean, I would say that there is significant power in terms of races below the presidential level,
right?
Right.
Well, the problem there is redistricting means that virtually every incumbent is guaranteed re-election. They're going to get reelected by raising all the money because they're incumbents on these important committees, and it is kind of a self-fulfilling thing.
People, do your homework, study up. Don't watch those TV ads. Don't follow the brochures. Don't just make your vote count.
Or at least fact check the TV ads. Like, that's what gets me, is watching some of the ads from these PACs that are like literally just lies.
Voting is so much work. In California, we have, I think, more than 60 candidates for governor in this election that's coming up next Tuesday, and a week from Tuesday. And it takes a lot of work to figure out who to vote for. It is not easy.
And then there's ballot initiatives. There's
it's a long ballot.
Yeah.
And this is just a primary, and people historically don't even vote in primaries. So, and I understand why, because you look at this and it goes, I can't.
It's the tyranny of choice applied to elections.
Please, we need you to vote, and we need you to care, and we need you to study and vote your conscience, and learn about the issues. Don't just say, well, I saw a TV ad, because those TV ads are so slanted. And that overcomes money in politics. That's the first step. And then you can start to whittle away at the incumbencies and so forth, and maybe make a difference.
Yeah. Listen to Leo and Pope Leo. Both.
Yeah, Pope Leo and podcaster Leo. Let's take a quick break. And if I could
do a plug, I do have a podcast episode coming out pretty soon with the End Citizens United president, who.
Oh, nice. So where is this a Citation Needed podcast? Where is this?
It'll be coming out on Citation Needed.
Okay, that's great. I would like to listen to that. CitationNeeded.news. If you go there, there's a podcast feed right at the top.
And it'll come out as a regular issue too.
Subscribe so you get it. Yeah. That is awesome. That is awesome. See, so you're in. You agree with this premise? We've
very
got to
much.
do something about this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that people challenge me on a lot is like, why are you tracking crypto election spending? Every corporation, every industry does it. And it's like, yes, they do. That's a problem. And we need to stop it broadly speaking, not just crypto. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Citation Needed, the podcast?
Probably not. It's citationneeded.news.
If you go to the website,
there is another podcast with that name.
So there's a couple. Oh, there we go. Molly White's Citation Needed.
That's it.
If it's got the name, if Molly White's on the box, then it's the right one.
CitationNeeded.news. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Primarily a newsletter and not a podcast. I have basically a podcast version of the newsletter, and so I hope I don't step on the other Citation Needed's toes too much, because they are a very good podcast. But we'll see.
Well, all we care about is you, Molly. So listen to Citation Needed. .news, the podcast with Molly Wood.
And by the way, yes, every industry gives money, but what struck me about crypto in 2024 is how much money they gave in and how they almost single-handedly impacted elections, Senate races in, Ohio, California, if I'm remembering right.
Yep.
So that to me is like, every industry gives money, but they're giving tens of millions of dollars. It is a wave of money that is changing the election completely, as opposed to like, this person has 5 million, that person has 7 million because they have more oil money. Crypto to me is like amazing. It didn't really exist. It was, a bunch of idealists, whatever it was, 15, 20 years ago. And now they're one of the most powerful industries in all of DC, just simply because they all have all that crypto money.
Right.
None of it matters if you can't get the electorate to do the right thing and vote.
Yeah. But I think one thing that's really striking is that everyone knows about big oil, everyone knows about big pharma, everyone knows that there are corporate influences coming from those industries, but people are very, very unaware of the extent to which crypto is influencing elections these days. People are unaware of the extent to which the president is involved in crypto. A crypto media.
How much has he made in his year and a half in office?
Just from crypto, or
just from crypto?
All together?
Well,
it's
over
$1 billion.
Yeah, in crypto.
And that's not including. No, that's not including the sort of
Trump
paper
coin and all
price of his crypto holdings, because that's all illiquid, just not even worth trying to, because you'd be in the billions and billions of dollars. But just in terms of like money, like dollars, he has cashed out, it's over $1 billion.
Yeah. Remember before the election, the crypto ball?
Yeah.
That was the inaugural ball.
It was the inauguration.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to say is that there's a crypto media outlet called CoinDesk that just did a poll that found that the majority of respondents were opposed to the idea of an elected official at a high level having personal ties to the crypto industry or personally profiting from it, but a tiny percentage were even aware that Trump was so heavily involved. And so it's really just, I think, an education issue in large part, is because people just aren't aware of that this is happening.
Well, I guess that's the other thing that needs to change, is that the fact that we allow elected politicians, to be making trades on the markets. There was a report that came out a week or two ago about how many thousands of trades Trump has made personally in the last year and a half.
He's like a day trader. Actually, that was the funniest quote. Wow, that's the number of trades of private equity.
Where does this guy find the time? I don't
exactly.
understand.
He's tweeting
150 times a day. I don't get it. Is he a vampire?
Well, just last week? They announced this deal, federal government deal with Dell for almost $10 billion.
There's a good
and the day
example.
before, he bought a bunch of Dell stock.
Yeah. Right.
That's insider trading.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless you're the president of the United States.
Everywhere.
So no elected politician.
Model.
Yeah, no elected politician should be allowed to trade anything during their time in office.
Clearly, and it's ironic that Nancy Pelosi was so upset by the notion that you might want to curtail her stock trading. It's on both sides.
One thing I think is really funny is that the Senate just passed a change to their rules, basically saying that no senators can get involved in prediction markets.
Right.
And it was unanimous.
They can't do Kalshi, but we got this. You want to buy some stock? Go right
that's what I thought was so funny, is there wasn't a single congressperson who would stand up and say, actually, I do want to trade on these prediction markets, but you try to pass a law that would ban stock trading or crypto trading, and suddenly it's this hugely controversial thing. But prediction markets, I guess that's where they draw the line.
We'll talk about prediction markets. There's a lot of news there too. All right, I do have to take a break. Molly White is here. Great to have you. Samable Samad, Gary Rivlin. Great panel. Lots to talk about. Before we go on, though, I want to mention Box. I know that's a name you know, but it's a name you ought to look at because they are great. I am so impressed with what Box is doing. If you're an enterprise trying to transform your organization with AI, you are probably facing a all too common challenge. Most AI tools are great at public knowledge, but they don't really know your business, do they? They don't know your product roadmaps. They don't know your sales material. They don't know your HR policies, your financial models. They don't know anything about the content that actually makes your company run. But that's what you want them to know about. But that's where Box comes in, right? Box is building the intelligent content management platform for the AI era. This is so brilliant. Serving as the secure, essential context layer for Box's AI agents to access the unique institutional knowledge that makes your company run. You use Box to store the documents, use Box's AI agents to access that information securely, privately. That's the key idea. The power of AI is not the model alone. We're learning this more and more. It really comes from giving the AI access to the right enterprise content. Box goes beyond file storage. It connects content to people, apps, and AI agents. So teams can turn information into action with tools like Box Agent, Box Extract, Box Hubs, and more. Organizations can accelerate knowledge work, pull intelligence from unstructured content, and automated workflows. You've already got the data in there. Now you can use Box Agent, a unified AI experience across those files. It can understand your natural language prompts. It can pull the right content. It can help you work through the task. For agents both inside and outside Box, including tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Agent Force, custom agents, Box becomes the trusted content and file layer via its platforms, APIs, MCP, and CLI. Yes, they do all three. And for enterprises, that trust layer is everything. Box is built with security, with compliance, with governance, with threat protection in mind. So employees and agents only access information they're authorized to use. It's secure, but it also gives your Box agent the information it needs to make intelligent choices. If you're thinking seriously about your company's AI transformation journey, it's time to think beyond the model. Your business lives in your content, and Box helps you bring that content securely into the AI era. This is brilliant, and nobody can do it better than Box. Visit box.com/AI to learn more. That's box.com/AI, box.com/AI. We thank them so much for their support of This Week in Tech. So Google has really doubled down on AI in its search results, and I think you're seeing a response. For instance, last week, DuckDuckGo installs were up 30%. 30%. And of course, right on the front page of DuckDuckGo, it says no AI. Because now when you do a Google search, AI is at the top of the page. AI is everywhere. And I think people, honestly are nostalgic for the original era of, 10 blue links on a page.
Or at least have the option.
My mom is using DuckDuckGo, and I did not tell her about
That's
it.
huge.
I was like, where did you
right?
find this? That's awesome.
Isn't that huge?
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
I mean, of course, Google is pursuing AI. They should, but what I resent, and what I have to assume a lot of people resent, is, well, sometimes I just want to Google something.
Right.
And you're just shoving it down my throat. I mean, there's a little tab that was, AI mode. You can just click that. Yeah, I want to do AI. I don't particularly like it, Gemini. I never use Gemini. But the point is, actually, I just misspoke. I sometimes use Gemini because it's just right there. I mean, we could mock Google, but they're neck and neck with monthly users with OpenAI. They're both up around 1 billion a month, and it's just because it's right there. My kids, I make fun of them, like, why do you use Gemini? It's like, Dad, it's right there. I don't have to download.
Got it. It's there.
It reminds me of Microsoft taking on that Netscape Navigator. Like, well, okay, I guess I could download the Navigator on my Windows machine, but I have Internet Explorer right there, and that's why they want it. I mean, so Meta, theirs is even more lame. Their AI is, I try to use them all. Theirs is awful. Even more lame than Gemini, except they're in the game too with hundreds of millions of users per month because it's right there.
And
I don't want to read
they have your information. That's the other side of the equation. They already know, Google and Meta both, a lot about you. So just as we were talking with this Box ad, it's not just the model, it's having the context to put into the model that makes the model useful. So there's the button right there on every freaking Google property. I can't, we use Google Sheets for our show rundowns. And it's so annoying. Every time I open the sheet, it says, well, you want me to summarize this? Do you want me to eliminate? Today it said, there's blank boxes. Do you want me to fill those up with something? It's like, no.
Just anything.
Well, except for go to Microsoft, and Microsoft has it every one of their products.
Make up some links and fill them in there. Yeah.
Well, Microsoft has, I think, started to see the backlash. They've already announced we're going to back off a little bit on forcing Copilot down your throat.
Right.
So, but Google, Google's kind of in a rock and a hard place because I think they probably saw some erosion of their search leadership by companies like Perplexity that are doing AI searches.
Which is hilarious because Google has been for decades eroding web traffic to all of the places they're indexing. So.
Well, and that's the other side of this. The consequence of this It's clear Google doesn't want you to go anywhere else. They want you to land on the Google page and stay on the Google page. We'll give you the answer. Don't click that link. You don't need to. We'll tell you everything you need to know. Now they're saying for students, we'll draw you the graph. We'll give you the explanation. We'll put graphics in there. You don't need to go to that web page. But it's kind of killing the goose that laid the golden eggs, because all the content for those models comes from those pages that they're now disintermediating and putting out of business.
Right. But it's okay, because they're going to make up new pages. It's going. It's they're just going to generate new stuff to fill.
Oh, you got a blank in your web? We'll just fill that in.
Yeah. I mean, it's already happening, right? Because they're scraping so much of the web, and so much of the web now is AI generated, that you're getting this sort of Ouroboros of AI generated content that's being trained on AI. And there were some really interesting papers about model collapse when, you basically feed an AI too much AI content as training data and things just go haywire.
Mustafa Suleiman, the head of AI, consumer AI for Microsoft, said they're not going to use, to the extent they can, as you're pointing out, who knows, what's AI slop and what's human slop. But it's they're going to try not to use the fabricated data, the AI data, because it's so unreliable. But, it's like, from the corporation's point of view, like, every company is doing this. Every large enterprise software person, they're, a company, they're putting, we give you your AI agent, it's right here. It could do this, it could do that. It's kind of this new UI that, instead of having to go anywhere, you just, wherever you are, there's all the tools you want. I mean, this seems one of these things that's really hard to stop. It drives me crazy. There might be a little bit of a backlash, but I bet if we did this show a year from now, it's going to be more integrated, not less.
Yeah. Yeah, because in the long run, even if there's consumer backlash, people are going to still use Google to search, aren't they?
I don't know. I mean, based on what they showed, where now you just get a page, with a window that grows as you fill in your question, and then it'll just give you an answer. I don't know that I want to continue using Google. Do you still use Coggy?
Yeah. I pay $25 a month to use an alternative to Google that just gives you links. Now, Coggy actually has a really good Perplexity style AI orchestration engine too. But I don't use that so much. I just want Google without the ads. I just want the links, just the links, man. But also, I'll be honest, increasingly, I don't go to a search page. I don't type in the browser window. I don't type a query. I use my AI agents to do all of that stuff. And my AI agents have MCP servers that query the web. I'll say things like, give me the top 10 AI stories in the last 48 hours, and it goes out and looks at X and Reddit and Hacker News and my RSS feeds and comes up with the top stories. The stories that we're reading today, almost all those links were AI generated through the week. I gave it my RSS feeds. So I've noticed I'm doing a lot less searching.
Google and Facebook help damage seriously, news sites because people weren't going to them as much, and now they're going to go to them even less. There were some statistics that there's 58% lower click-through rates with AI, and I'm guilty of that. I mean, sometimes I want to check it. I'm writing about something, I need to check it. But what happens to these sites? Who are the content creators if increasingly, with each increasing year, they're going to have less traffic, i.e. less money? It's just, I don't know. I just kind of play it out in my head.
I feel a little guilty because we rely on all of these sites. I try to mention when I'm quoting a site, I try to mention the site, often try to mention the author. But honestly, I'm not doing a lot of enterprise journalism here. I just go out and scrape sites and that these stories come from them.
I think that's why AI wins. It's just so easy. It's so convenient. Right. We're all in a hurry. We're all overwhelmed.
The difference is this is a human curated experience. Admittedly, I'm using AI, but then I go through and say, we're going to talk about this and this. I feel like human curation still has some value, but maybe not for much longer. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually think that is the secret weapon. It's
what all of us do. That's what all of us on this panel do, right? That's what you do, Gary, when you write your book. That's what Molly does when she writes Citation Needed. That's what Sam does when he does his analyst report or does his Wheel Bearings podcast. What we do is people follow us because of our curation.
Our taste, our instincts, all that.
It's something that the AI companies underestimate a little bit, is that people really do like human created material, whether it's, music or artwork or a newsletter or, the news. People do value that. And, I think that's why you see some of the backlash. But you also see people, I think, who seek out actual human made material as well. And I think that that's going to continue to be the case even as AI content proliferates.
Do you feel like maybe I should? I use AI, so I'm an AI fan. I'll make that clear. But I use it as a tool to do this human stuff that we do. I would never create a podcast that just was, AI voices with AI panelists.
Those exist.
They totally do. Look at Notebook LM. I mean, they exist. And I think there'll probably be more and more of them, to be honest. Spotify's doing it.
Yeah.
Audible does it. I imagine there'll be more and more of them. But
I've watched several podcasts here's a podcast about Gary Rivlin's new book, AI Valley, that I learned because I have, the Google ego search. I got a little message like, oh, wow, what did I have to say about that
generated?
Topic?
Are they?
Yes, it's all AI generated. It's all AI. And, and kind of in defense of humanity, it's like, I'm sort of impressed that it could do anything like that, but
that's more my experience. Like, I'm not saying it's great. It's just amazing that it can do even that.
But it was really lousy. It was so quirky. Why'd you choose that? That's not a particularly interesting thing to explore. But I was saying this. I was saying this before when we were talking about the Pope. If the human's at the center using AI, I use AI all day, every day for my work. But it's me. I never have it, write me this article, read these interviews, write the article. It's more, as I'm writing the article, I'm really struggling with this paragraph. There's something wrong with it. Tell me what's wrong with it, kind of thing. It's just really interesting, but it's me. It's not like someone else can write that same article using the same engine I do. And so to me, if it's, human-centered and it's you as your curator, your judgment, your ethics, your instincts, whatever those things are given the task, I'm cool with that. And actually, though, it's interesting. I was talking to a friend writing for the New York Times now. If you're a freelancer, you have to sign something and say, I will not use AI at all in the creation of this article, which, I
use it for research.
I didn't read it myself. I asked that same question. He said, I don't do it because I'm scared that I'm breaking the rule. But it's just like, I get where they're coming from. They don't want
If you typed every word on the page, I don't think that it would be a bad thing to use AI to inform yourself.
Well, it depends if you fact check, right?
Well, yeah, that's true. You got to fact check. Do you think it is our obligation, the four of us, to put more human created content into the content sphere, into the internet? Like, as human beings, we got to fight the fight and make human created content and put it out there?
I don't think it's my obligation, but it's something
it's your duty.
Certainly helps.
Molly. It's your duty as a human being.
It's a hard question to answer because that's simply what we do.
It's what we do anyway.
Kind of thing. Yeah,
By the way, that's the other point. That's the point Benito, our producer, is always making. He's a musician. He says people make music because they like to make music. Writers write because they like to write. Mm-hmm. You're not going to stop people from creating.
Right.
I think the new world is going to have, there's AI created art. And there'll be some people who really like it. Some of it is probably going to be really interesting. But I think people are going to prize human-centered art much more because of it. Just like, when digital music came along, suddenly like records were become this bespoke thing.
I bet your kids are on vinyl heads.
Well, you do see
yes.
I knew it. I knew it.
Yes.
But teenagers are walking around with Discman
yes.
CD players now. And there is this really strong backlash, I think, to not just AI, but like tech in general. You know, they don't want to be on their phones all the time. They don't want to be connected to the internet all the time. They want the more analog lifestyle, which I can respect.
I think what's really interesting, the people who are harshest about AI aren't older folks, which would have been my guess. It's the college kids who are bullied.
Yeah.
They are.
You know, it's
but
just
you
like,
know why?
this is coming
there's
right
no
for
job.
them.
Yeah,
They're worried that
they've got their whole life ahead of them.
Yeah.
That's going to be
exactly.
dominated by this stuff. I mean, you know, at least
I would say to them, don't worry.
at least a couple of us are, you know, closer to the end than the beginning of our careers.
Hi, this is Benito.
No comment. No comment.
So I have
Hey,
a friend.
I know how old I am. Yeah.
Hi, this is Benito. So I have a friend who has a kid who's, I think, 7 or 8, and this kid loves Suno. So I think there is a generation that are like really young that love to
Maybe
prompt
there's
their
like
music.
a gap generation.
Yeah, there's going to be a gap generation here.
Suno's pretty good. I enjoy Suno. There are people. We were talking to Harper Reed. There are people who only listen to music created by AI.
But I think those people also don't give human music the same chance that they give AI music.
Maybe, or it's just a lot of work.
No, they
you know,
don't.
when
They won't sit and listen to an album from a human, but they'll listen
too much
to
work.
10 AI tracks. They'll sit and listen to 10 AI
how is
tracks.
it more
Why is
work
that?
to
How is that
listen to
less work? Yeah.
human?
It's more complex. It's less anodyne. It's less homogenized. It's there's too
You
much.
don't have to
going
think
on.
about it.
Yeah,
You know, when the
It's just that
camera came.
blended, you know,
It's like
average of
it's like
of
pre-chewed
all the
food.
collective.
I don't want to chew. I just feed me.
Soylent.
Yeah,
Silent.
exactly. Yeah.
You know,
Soylent
when the
of
camera.
music.
When the camera came along, it was like, oh no, this is going to destroy art because why do you have to paint the landscape? You just take a picture of it. And I think what's really interesting is now photography is an art form. You know, art is still thriving. And I assume that the same thing's going to happen with AI. Like people will love AI music, I guess. But there'll be people who seek out humans. It sounds different. The imperfections. You know, I'll throw my 17-year-old then 15 under the bus. Like, you know, did you write that paper about, you know, Lord of the Flies? Yeah, read it, Dad. And within 3 sentences, I just like, which model did you use? The color drains from his face? Because like, it was too
obvious.
perfect. It was just like, it was just obvious. It's like, it's either, as Sam was saying, it's just lowest common denominator flat, just this thing, or it's just like no human writes or talks like that.
But how long? That's the uncanny valley in prose, essentially.
Right.
How long before it gets good enough that you don't? There's no uncanny valley.
We're still,
you know, to
we're
me,
still there with
we're gonna
CG
get
in
there.
movies, though. We're still there in CG with movies.
We are.
We're still.
I think
uncanny
Suno
valley.
music. A lot of people can't distinguish Suno music from real music.
Well, and to be fair, you know, probably most of what's written by humans would fall into that, you know, lowest common denominator, you know, uncanny valley category.
There's a lot of
anyway.
human slop. A lot of human slop out
exactly.
Humans create slop better than anybody.
I mean, there's a reason the AI sounds like that, right? Is 'cause
That's right.
Exactly.
It's just averaging all of that.
Yeah.
But you know,
exactly.
there are exceptional writers out there like Gary, like Molly, you know, that do really that do something really distinct and different.
I think that as time goes by, there'll be an equilibrium. I think we're going to see some pendulums swinging back and forth, anti-AI, pro-AI, and then there'll be some equilibrium. You know, I've just started watching because they were talking about it on Wednesday on the show. Have you seen the show Humans? It's on Amazon Prime. It's 3 seasons. It started on BBC 4.
Oh, is this the one about the robots that?
It's So the premise is it's near future, and that we've actually been able to make bipedal humanoid robots, and they mostly are domestic servants, although there are some sex bots and there are bots doing laboring in the fields and so forth, and they're doing the jobs the humans don't want to do or that are very hard or difficult. It's good because it isn't 100% anti-bot. It's not pro-bot either, and it raises a lot of the issues that will come up, I think, in the near future over all of this. You know, it starts, I've just started watching, it starts with a husband. His wife is away for work and he's got 3 kids and he's trying to take care of them and it's a lot of work. He's got his own job. So he buys one of these bots because somebody's got to clean and cook. And the wife comes home and says, "What, are you replacing me?" He says, No, I just want more time with you. I think philosophically it's very interesting. And as somebody who is very much a pro AI user, it has kind of opened my eyes a little bit as to some of the difficulties that this is going to
So Leo, I want to get back to the question you sort of posed, like, will GPT-10, will it be able to write a beautiful novel the way a human can? And
what do you think?
I mean, first off, I think we're hitting some limits. These models have ingested all of human creation.
There's no more stuff.
Right, now it's AI slop. This whole AGI thing, I think we're a breakthrough or two away before we get what Silicon Valley is saying we're going to get. But I think it's going to keep on Pac-Manning up. If right now, I would say AI, if you write a basic report, if you're writing a press release, if you're doing a 400-word hot take, you're toast. I'm sorry. These things are good at doing that. Can it write a basic news article? Yes. But can it write a feature? No, they're terrible. I've tried, I've played around with it. It'll get better at it, but I am convinced that GPT-10, whatever, just, some point 10 plus 20 years into the future, I don't think it could ever do it. I think that's the missing ingredient. AI is obviously, artificial intelligence, but I think it's alien intelligence. It knows everything and understands nothing. It has no common sense. A 5-year-old understands so much of the world that these things don't.
So you don't think we'll ever bridge that uncanny valley?
I'll be dead by the time we do it, if you ask, me, back to Sam's point, how we're older journalists here, but it's, I'll let it go, Sam.
I was including myself in that group.
But I guess I am. Dude, there was a really fun thing the New York Times did a year ago.
Oh, I know what you're going to talk about. Yes,
Curtis Sitfield. Curtis Sitfield. I'm mispronouncing your name. My apologies. But they had this really accomplished novelist, short story writer, go up against a machine, and I'll tell you, the short story with the same prompts. They all had the same prompts. Had to be, a summer romance with flip-flops, blah, 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 kind of thing. And, I happened to have read the AI one first. I was like, wow, this is good. Is this her? And then the moment I started her story, like within 3 or 4 sentences, like, oh no, this is the novelist. This is the real writer. It's that, by definition, it's flat. By definition, it's lowest common denominator.
But a couple of months ago, I thought you were going to talk about this. The New York Times, Kevin Roose and Stuart Thompson did a quiz. Yeah. Who's a better writer, AI or humans? And they have passages. And they asked people.
Novels, right?
And more than half of the people, regular people who read them, preferred the AI version. And couldn't distinguish between the one or the other. I actually did it, and the only reason I got almost all right, I missed one, was because I had read some of the books.
I was going to say, a lot of them you can recognize. I
recognized the book.
Yeah.
Which helped, but the AI writing was pretty good, right, Molly? I mean, did you do this?
I did it. I had the same problem that you did, which is that I recognized a lot of the books, but I also definitely. A lot of it read AI to me.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah.
I may be tone deaf when it comes to AI. I may actually not have the detection abilities you guys have.
And it's interesting to me how much that varies between people also. Yeah. Like, I feel like some people have a really good spidey sense for it, and some people cannot tell whatsoever.
I like wordplay, and a lot of the AI stuff had kind of bizarro wordplay, which maybe have won me over a little bit. Like, they often do weird similes and things, and I kind of enjoy them, right?
I think there might be an age element. I mean, I'm using a universe of one or a pair here. My son and I, when this is 2023, there was some site, and you had a minute to decide: are you talking to a human or are you talking to a machine? I'll confess, I was kind of 50-50. I couldn't tell. But right. He was, I guess, 12 at the time. And he was getting 80-90% right.
Well, that's encouraging. That's good.
And so I mean, I don't know. I just kind of assume from that we're talking about, that a young person's better, they're more native, whatever. But, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen any studies on
Yeah, I'd be curious to see a study on it, how much of it is age-related versus, level of technological.
Well, I'm older than all of you, and I'm easily fooled. So I guess that says something. I don't know. Maybe if you grew up, if you're AI native, you can tell the difference. I don't know. Time for another break. Molly White is here. Citationneeded.news. Subscribe now. Listen to the podcast coming up about Citizens United. She's also at mollywhite.net. And you will see the announcement when she updates the Bitcoin giving, this cryptocurrency giving to all technology giving. I think that'll be a really good site. I'll make sure we plug that. I really appreciate what you do with those websites, mollywhite.net. Gary Rivlin also here, Pulitzer Prize winning nonfiction writer. Have you written a novel? You've written many books.
I have never written a novel. My 17-year-old asked me, like, Dad, when are you going to write something interesting that, like fiction? So
I love your stuff. The book you did on Katrina that's the one you won the Pulitzer for. Yeah. Incredible. The book Broke USA about debt was just amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I like your nonfiction, but I feel like, don't they say that everybody's got a novel in their desk drawer next to the bottle of bourbon?
I have neither, but I like bourbon and I get no work done. But actually this summer, it's funny you should say this summer, he decides he wants to be a screenwriter. God help me.
Oh, good.
And this summer, we're going to write together. I mean, write in the same place together. And I'm thinking, like, maybe this will be the moment when I do a fiction, a work of fiction. But to now, not. No.
Then you wouldn't be kind of competing with him in your own turf. You'd be kind of on another, unfamiliar ground. It would probably be a good idea. I like it.
Given he's 17, he's like, well, Dad, I'm better at storytelling than you. I mean, He literally said that to me this week.
Teenagers,
and I laughed at him.
Great. God bless him.
And he stuck by it.
You know what we did on a Friday night? So there was, 4chan had a...
4chan? Yeah, you spending your Friday night.
Bear with me on this.
You're not Pope Leo. You're definitely not Pope Leo.
Starting a little weird. Okay, I understand. They call it a creepypasta. You know, copypasta where you paste something. It's a creepypasta. Some years ago, they had a creepypasta of a kind of a empty room, yellow walls, kind of this liminal space. And then there was this guy named Kane Pixels who turned it into a viral video called Backrooms. And there were a number of YouTube viral videos he created using Blender and others about these kind of weird spaces. Well, Hollywood said, we need more kids coming to movies. So this guy is 20 years old. His motion picture Backrooms debuted on Friday. We went to the opening because he's from our little town here. He was there. My 23-year-old's a big fan. Got his picture taken with him. And this is now the fourth fastest, highest grossing first weekend for a horror movie ever. They made it for $10 million. It's grossed more than $30 million already in 3 days. It's called Backrooms. It's a 20-year-old director. So, Gary, you're a teenager in 3 years. Maybe writing that novel. might have that Booker Prize in hand. So, I don't know.
Okay. Good.
I don't know. It's just, it happens. We're in this happened. So you're old enough, Gary. I certainly grew up in this because I was a baby boomer. It was a youth culture when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, right? The youth dominated everything. And then we continued to dominate it right up to the present. And now it's a bunch of 70 and 80-year-olds dominating the world.
Once you get that grip on power, you never want to let go.
We don't want to let go. We boomers, we love it. I'm wondering, though, we're going to all die soon. Maybe the swing back to youth is starting to happen. I think this might be a...
People like me who are stuck in the middle are just going to always...
I feel bad for you, Molly. I do.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry, Molly. We ruined it for you. We boomers really ruined it for everybody, and I apologize on behalf of my cohort. We're going to take a break, come back with more. Samuel Samet is also here. I want to ask you about the Luce, Jony Ive's Ferrari, which apparently is getting some bad reviews.
Yeah.
But, have you driven it?
No, nobody outside of Ferrari has driven it yet.
Oh, okay.
Although probably some of their best customers have had a chance to sample it. But
how much is it?
$640,000.
Okay, well, it won't be me driving it. That's for sure.
But I do have a novel in my drawer, but I didn't write it. So,
do you have bourbon in your drawer?
No bourbon.
I was visiting a friend named Jeff Atwood the other day, and on his kitchen counter, he had what looked a lot like Infinite Jest. The book, the long book everybody pretends to have read. And I said, "Oh, who's reading Infinite Jest?" And they said, "No. Look closely. It wasn't infinite jest. It was infinite Jeffs. Somebody, as a joke, and you can buy it on Amazon, by the way, has made a book that looks just like Infinite Jest, but the text of it, the blurbs, the front cover, the back cover, all it is Jeff.
AI could never do this, right?
This is brilliant. You can buy it for $25 on Amazon. If you know somebody named Jeff, this would make a great gift. That's all I can say. So
are you saying if you open it up, the only thing you see is the word Jeff repeated?
Yes.
Wow.
You want to read a sample? Here, let's just open it up. Let's just
don't give
open
anything
it up.
Away. Don't give anything away.
Jeff, the dedication, Jeff, the first chapter, Jeff. It is like 800 pages of the word Jeff. And by the way,
I don't even know anyone named Jeff, but I kind of want to copy that book.
You want to know somebody named Jeff now. By the way, it says on the Amazon excerpt, copyrighted material. So don't steal this.
Written by.
If somebody wants to write, Molly, I don't know, Molly Jones' diary, I don't know. You could do that. And the back cover is great. Here's the blurbs. They're all by Jeff. And apparently it was written by a cat named Jeff. So now you don't have to buy it because you've read it. I hope AI ingests this. I'd like to see what AI does with this. All right, that's the novel in my drawer, and no, there's no bourbon next to that either, unfortunately. Our show today brought to you by Zscaler, the world's largest cloud security platform. I think it's becoming pretty apparent in business the potential rewards of AI are, too great to ignore. But then so are the risks. Loss of sensitive data is a big risk people don't even think about. Attacks against enterprise managed AI. And then, of course, generative AI helps the bad guys too. It increases the opportunities for threat actors, helping them to rapidly create phishing lures that are indistinguishable from the real thing. I get bit all the time now. That's real, right? No. They're also using it to write malicious code. We were talking about this on Security Now. They're using it to speed up data extraction once they get into your system. And then there's this whole issue of you and your employees using your private AI or your generative AI and accidentally exfiltrating information, uploading the company's tax returns, things like that. There were 1.3 million instances of social security numbers leaked to AI applications last year. You got to do something about this. You want to use AI, but you got to use it safely. That's why you need a modern approach with Zscaler's Zero Trust plus AI. Because it's Zero Trust, it removes your attack surface. It secures your data everywhere. But the AI also helps safeguard your use of public and private AI. And Zscaler can also protect you against ransomware and AI-powered phishing attacks. You don't have to take my word for it. Just look what its users say. Siva is the director of security and infrastructure at Zuora. They love Zscaler. This is what he has to say about it.
AI provides tremendous opportunities, but it also brings tremendous security concerns when it comes to data privacy and data security. The benefit of Zscaler with ZIA rolled out for us right now is giving us the insights of how our employees are using various Gen AI tools. So ability to monitor the activity, make sure that what we consider confidential and sensitive information according to company's data classification does not get fed into the public LLM models, etc.
Thank you, Siva. With Zero Trust plus AI, you can thrive in the AI era. You can stay ahead of the competition. You can remain resilient even as threats and risks evolve. Learn more at zscaler.com/security. That's zscaler.com/security. We thank them so much for supporting This Week in Tech. And you support us when you go to that address so they know you saw it here, zscaler.com/security. You're watching This Week in Tech. Sam Abel-Samad, Gary Rivlin, Molly White. Sam, a week from Monday, it's WWDC. We will be covering that conference. And we expect, speaking of AI, Apple to clarify, shall we say, its position on AI on the iPhone. They will also show iOS 27. Mark Gurman at Bloomberg, although I think of him as Mark Bloomberg, got a leak of the look of the new iOS 27. Siri's going to be in that little window up at the top, living there all the time. These are illustrations, not actual photos, but illustrations created by Bloomberg, showing the revamped Siri interface, a new chatbot-style app, and other major changes that Apple will announce a week from Monday. Gurman writes, the images are based on information viewed by Bloomberg and people with knowledge of the company's plans who asked not to be identified because the software isn't yet public. And, of course, Apple declined to comment. But I think one thing that we know for sure is that AI will take front and center at the keynote at WWDC and on the new iPhones. And suddenly, for a lot of people, maybe your mom, Molly, who aren't really used to using AI, it will be on their phone. It will be a big presence. And I think that is going to be a sea change, I expect, in how people feel about AI. And maybe help its acceptance a little bit. Molly, you think your mom does she use an iPhone?
I believe so, yes. But I mean, I would say that AI is already kind of ubiquitous, right? Like if you use Gmail, it's trying to summarize your emails. If you search something that's coming up, I don't know how much it will change to have one more, insertion of AI into your everyday life, but maybe.
The only reason I'd say it might be different is because Apple is notorious for being good at productizing this stuff in a way that is not as offensive. Look at what Google and Microsoft have done has become offensive to people.
Right.
That's why your mom's using DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
I think Apple maybe has a lighter touch. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they already have the same backlash.
I feel like people were really annoyed by the attempts to summarize your text messages or whatever it was. So
that was just
not
humorous.
Always gone very well. Yeah, exactly. Right.
They were just bad. And I left them on because they were hysterical. They still are hysterical.
Yeah,
it's
so
like
I have maybe some suspicion.
I see this all the time. I just got it again. There was motion at your front door multiple times. Yeah.
Is it your cat?
Yeah, probably. But it's like that's the summary. And if the first time you see it, it's like what? And then you realize, oh no, it's just wrapping up about a bunch of kitty motion. Wow, were quite a few. Okay, maybe Apple wasn't so wrong on that one.
Kitten really wants to come inside.
that cat really wants to come in. Holy moly. Okay, somebody's going to have to answer.
Dancing in front of your front door?
I don't know what's going on. All right, you know what? Apple got it right. There were multiple. I'm scrolling through page after
Apple downplayed it a little bit.
So I mean, to your non-cat point here, Leo, I do think that these huge companies with billion plus platforms, or platforms with a billion plus people on it. We talked about Meta before. We talked about Google before, and I think Apple falls in the same category. Yes, we might resent it. Yes, we're a bunch of tech reporters, so we in particular are resenting it. But I just have to think if it's there in front, people are gonna use it. And I think Apple, the story on Apple is they've just been fumbling it every bit of the way. They were absent in 2023, 24, 25. Now in 2026, they're yet again going to unveil their, AI strategy. And, I'm dubious of that. I'm sure they're going to be using other models, and they're
going to use Gemini. Interface. They're going to use Google's model.
Well, Google's paying for them to use Gemini, and just you can opt for others. You can, if you choose, you can have ChatGPT, whatever, underneath it. But my point is, by just having it in a box right there, I do think it becomes more ubiquitous in the sense that more and more people are using it. Yes, Molly, AI is everywhere. We talk about it, we can't help but think about it. But that doesn't mean, everyone's using it. I just think Apple is another big step in a larger portion of the planet using AI because it's right there.
Yep.
That's kind of hard to avoid
Siri,
it
or
when it's the default.
Have they given up on Siri? Because if people still use Siri, Siri is going to presumably suddenly be smart and useful.
Yeah, Alexa and Siri, it's funny, like, so basically those, Amazon and Apple were way ahead of most everyone on AI, right? I mean, that's what that is. And I just assumed, like, oh, okay, well, it's more rules-based. It's not, machine learning, but they'll make the shift. And it's a lot harder to do than you would think to give it intelligence. I mean, you might as well, like, we've seen this with technology a lot, that, kind of bolting something on something else is never as good as something that's built from scratch. And I just think that's Siri's problem, and that's Alexa's problem. Supposedly Amazon has taken that on, and finally they have a better product. I don't use either of those, so I have no idea. But it's taken a lot longer than I would have thought to make the jump from kind of the old-fashioned okay, here are the responses to this question, as opposed to the conversational aspect that we're all used to now with chat.
And like I'm an Android user, and Gemini is far less functional now than Google Assistant was before. There are so many things the things I used to use Google Assistant for, Gemini does not work. Like, for example, I have a garage door opener that was compatible with Google. I used to be able to open that, from the car with, using Google Assistant. That does not work with Gemini. We have some LED light strips around the house. That's a notable failure for Google. Automations that do not work with Assistant. Yeah. And so there's a bunch of functionality that just isn't there, and this is one of the things that really annoys me about Google, is that they'll take stuff that was working reasonably well and they say, no, we're going to replace this with something else. And you lose half the functionality or more from that thing. And it takes them years to get it back to where it was. They did this with Google Play Music when they went to YouTube Music, and they did it with Assistant going to Gemini, and they've done it with lots of things over the years, and it's very, very annoying.
I think as somebody who's spent a lot of time building an agent, this was going to be the year of the agent. Started with OpenClaw, right? Moltbot/ClaudeBot/OpenClaw. I use a agent tool from a company called Noose Research called Hermes. But the idea is it's similar to Siri with a big difference. It remembers your conversations, your prior conversations. It knows about you. It has some background about what you're looking for, what you want. It can even joke around with you based on, it does with me anyway, based on what it knows about me. When I have I record my meals in it. I say, hey, I call it Quicksilver. Hey, Quicksilver, I just had a sandwich and a can of Coke. And it will say things like, well, that's a lot of carbs, Leo. You better eat a salad for dinner tonight. That experience is pretty satisfying. If Siri can become more of a personal assistant, I think that there's, and of course, yes, Sam, it'll also have to be able to open your garage door, or it's just a dumb bot. But if it can be more functional and be more personal, isn't that a big step toward what people want from AI, or is that just me?
No, the personal assistant is the holy grail for a lot of companies, the AI agent. 2025 was the year of the AI agent, and that didn't work. So now it's 2026, the year of the AI agent. And, this stuff is hard. It finally is starting to have a pretty good memory.
I've had to put a lot of work into it. I mean, it doesn't happen automatically, that's for sure. So,
and that's my point. Like, it's just, I think 2027 and 2028 are going to be the year of the AI agent. Because, humans are resistant to change. This stuff is complicated. The technology isn't quite there yet. There's a whole list of reasons, and but just to get a little bit nerdy for a sec, like the history of AI was rules based. We'll just kind of through sheer muscle just like give every alternative and like
expert systems,
millions and millions of lines of code that was rejected. No machine learning, just let it learn in the fashion of a human. Just give it a bunch of data, whether it's books, movies, whatever kind of thing. But I really think the answer is it's not an either or. I think the next step is going to be something of a hybrid, because yes, it's brilliant. It could tell you, you have a conversation with you, but can it open my garage door? And so like, one approach is really good at a set of things. The other approach is good to a different set of things. And, I'm kind of thinking that, even though rules-based expert systems were rejected, I do think they're going to be in our future again for exactly what Sam is talking about.
And maybe I'm just, getting old and cranky, but, I don't need the assistant to be funny with me. I don't need it to be joking with me.
That's pretty much what Alexa Plus is.
I just need it to do exactly what I ask it to do.
Alexa Plus,
if it doesn't,
basically there's a sassy mode, which we turned on. And all anybody ever uses Alexa for is, set a timer for asparagus. Yeah. And Alexa Plus will say, oh, that's going to be some crunchy asparagus, or dinner sounds great. When can I come over? And it's no smarter. It's just sassier.
Yeah, I mean, I want it smart. I don't care if it's. I don't care if it's sassy. If it's dumb.
No,
that's not helpful.
It isn't.
Also, maybe I'm old school for this, but I hate talking to computers, like speaking to computers, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get over that.
You don't have carpal tunnel syndrome, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think you're in the minority. I think you're in the minority on that, Molly. I think people, once, mid-2024, you can speak to ChatGPT. I think that was kind of a big breakthrough for them. The idea, I mean, that's kind of the Star Trek vision. We just talk to the machine.
Computer.
Yeah, exactly. And it talks back.
Do either, I don't think either, I assume neither of you work in an office with other people. I don't either. I've worked remotely for a dozen years, but when I worked in an office with other people, and increasingly people are being called back to office full time.
Right.
You don't want to be talking to your computer in an office. That is just not a good thing. That's a terrible experience.
Yeah. You say that, Sam, and I 100% relate to what you're saying. But the big thing now, was it Whisper Flow?
I got it going right here. Look at this. This is on my Mac. As we're speaking, it has been transcribing everything that you've been saying.
And so what's going on is like the fellow who made Claude Code spoke about this.
Boris
like
Cherny,
yeah, you got it. Instead of typing into a box where we're kind of thinking about it, going back, trying to perfect it, he found that using Whisper Flow and just speaking the way humans speak, the machine gets so much more out of it. And so I saw this picture, some article where they showed a room full of computer coders, all of them whispering to Whisper. And I think
terrible.
And like exactly, it's like the movie 1984, like the dystopian thing. But I actually had the vision, Sam. I think that in some Silicon Valley places now, given that this genius fellow, has said it, that now everyone's going to be talking to their machines aloud.
I am so glad that I'm old enough that I am probably never going to have another office job.
Same. But I went to a conference actually where there was this basically kid, I think he was in college, but barely, who had created some sort of a device that was exactly for that purpose. And the idea was that you didn't actually need to really vocalize. You just sort of mouthed, I think.
Oh, I saw that video. That looked so dopey.
I don't know if it's the same guy or not, but it was an interesting idea, at least, which is that, maybe we wouldn't.
Is it lip reading or is
sub-vocalization? It was a thing.
No, it sort of attaches back here.
Okay.
And yeah.
Sort of a reverse bone conduction.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
People are doing that. There's a company that has a chip that you wear in a hat that is reading your brainwaves. They're not good enough yet, but I imagine at some point machine learning will get good enough so that it can turn those brainwaves into letters and words.
Then I won't even have to type. I can just think it.
You just think it.
Well, there's a friend of mine. He's in a startup now called Numo that they're developing a system that goes into the headrest of the car that measures the EEG waves to help detect when you're distracted or drowsy, and detects a bunch of things about the driver to
instead of
to
watching
tie
your
in.
eyes.
Yeah. Well, it works in conjunction with that. So it gives you more information on what you get from just looking at where you're looking. But it's actually
brilliant.
Yeah.
Because I get sleepy.
Those things always end up getting used as surveillance, which is what freaks me out.
Yeah.
Well, your insurance is going to go up if your beta waves are too prominent. You're
right,
gonna
exactly.
definitely have to pay more insurance. Yeah, that's a little scary. Let's take a break, and then I'm going to talk about the fake EULA in the blockchain. I'm sure you saw this story, Molly. It's hysterical. You're watching This Week in Tech with Gary Rivlin, Molly White, who knows a little bit about crypto, and Sam Abou-Samad, who knows a little bit about cars. We have crypto and cars coming up in just a little bit as we continue. Our show today brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Isn't it great when you find somebody who's qualified for the role you're hiring for? I can tell you that is a special time. And then you can also tell how genuinely interested they are in the position. Oh man, that's heaven. That's gold. If you're hiring, you want a candidate who's passionate about your role. But you can't get that insight from a resume unless you post your job on ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/twit. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology doesn't just find qualified candidates quickly. Yes, it does that. And ZipRecruiter has a new feature that shows you the most interested qualified candidates first. So you meet the right people faster. I mean, isn't that great? Not only somebody who's right for the job, somebody who wants the job. That's the kind of people you want to hire. Candidates can tell you in their own words why they're interested in your job. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. Find candidates who really want your job on ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/twit. That's ziprecruiter.com/twit. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. We thank them so much for supporting This Week in Tech. ZipRecruiter.com/twit. So this happened yesterday, May 30th, 1529 UTC. Somebody wrote a fake EULA into the blockchain. The EULA read, by downloading this op return, I'll have to ask Molly what an op return is, you hereby consent to unrestricted access by federal law enforcement agencies to your residence, digital devices, and personal properties. Assets may be searched, seized, or redistributed without further notice. Signed, Donald J. Trump, President of the Internet. So first of all, what's an op return?
So the op return is basically this location where you can store arbitrary data in a Bitcoin transaction.
Okay. And you can't help but download it, right? Because when you're using blockchain, you download a copy of the blockchain.
Right. Yeah. So all the transaction data is in there. I mean, there's definitely like ways that people will prune out a lot of excess data, but yeah, for the most part, everyone downloads.
Yeah. When I use my wallet, the first time I use it on a machine, it downloads. I mean, what is it now? It's 100 giga. It's a huge amount, 100 gigabytes or something of the entire blockchain. It literally downloads
You have to validate it from the beginning.
Every single transaction since Satoshi Nakamoto pushed the start button to now. Now, then you can prune it. After that, you can prune it. And it gets much smaller. But that's a lot to download, including this EULA. 6 blocks later, which means almost instantly, they posted, I revoke my previous statement, signed Donald J. Trump, President of the Internet. But here's the thing. Nothing ever dies in the blockchain. Block 951,728 and block 951,734 will live for all eternity.
Yep. Along with every other block that people inscribe.
There's a lot of other crap. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there.
Someone just uploaded the Constitution the other day.
Really?
Yeah. Cost him like $80 to do it.
But see, that'll be a nice historical record. There is, I'm told.
Well, there are other records of it. We don't really need
well, actually, that was the funniest thing is I read what I think was basically like an AI-generated crypto slop media article, and it was like, finally, people can read the Constitution on the blockchain. And I was like, how many people have been trying to do that?
But there is other less salubrious stuff on. There's CSAM on the blockchain.
Yeah,
too,
well,
right?
and there has been a long-running, maybe not long-running, but for a couple of years, there's been an ongoing fight within the Bitcoin core developer community about whether or not they should basically limit the op return, because it used to be that there was a very small cap on how much data you could put into the op return field, and then they lifted the cap, and so now you can put really long stuff in there.
It was limited to 83 bytes according to this article.
Yeah, exactly. It was tiny, and so now people are making like Bitcoin NFTs basically because you can store so much data than you previously could. And one of the core developers is like really concerned about the possibility of Bitcoin becoming a CSAM haven because there's no way to erase it. And but yeah, there's this huge debate within the Bitcoin community around whether or not they should cap it, whether they should fork Bitcoin so that, you know, there could be a version of it that doesn't have the cap. It's a mess.
Wow. So just one more wonderful little feature of Bitcoin.
Well, and many cryptocurrencies. I mean, a lot of, you know, especially
that's blockchain. That's how blockchain works.
Any blockchain that has arbitrary data, which is most of them, has this same issue.
The whole premise of blockchain is it's a decentralized, unforgeable ledger. Immutable ledger. And so that's kind of in the nature of it. Right. It does become a little bit unmanageable when you get to hundreds of gigabytes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much Satoshi Nakamoto was thinking on like century scale when he designed.
Does it bog down because it's so big? No, it doesn't slow it down.
I mean, it was slow to begin with, but for different reasons.
Right. The proof of work is slow.
Yeah.
All by itself. Intentionally slow.
So Molly, the question I have is, so Trump comes in, he's pro-crypto, their policies are going to buy Bitcoin, whatever, for the reserves. I would have figured that for a 4-year period, you know, the price of Bitcoin, any cryptocurrency would go up. And it did for, you know, whatever, a few months. And then it just plummeted. Like, why? I mean, the administration is so favorable. Its policies are so favorable. They've backed it. They're legitimizing it. Presumably, they're buying up a bunch for, you know, our reserve. Why would it have fallen down like the way it did? I'm curious what you think.
Well, for one, they're not buying it for the reserves, so there isn't that initial demand. They haven't been able to. They would need to pass a law to actually authorize spending to purchase Bitcoin for the reserve.
What's in the reserve right now is just confiscated by law enforcement.
Right.
Yeah, so there's no basically purchasing of Bitcoin going on. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Like there was the Trump pump where, you know, it broke a new all-time high shortly after Trump's inauguration, and, you know, it was doing well for a while. But ultimately, you know, Bitcoin and other crypto assets are high-risk, volatile assets. And we've seen so much macroeconomic instability coming largely from the Trump administration that people don't want to hold Bitcoin when they think that, you know, there's going to be huge tariffs, or when there's a war with Iran, or, you know, whatever it might be. And you see people following those same behaviors, which is that if they're worried about, you know, the economy in general, they don't want to be holding Bitcoin. They want to be holding dollars or gold or whatever it might be. And, you know, there's that effect on the Bitcoin price. But I think also people have a concern that, and especially increasing now, that Trump is essentially damaging crypto.
Oh, interesting.
Because his, you know, now so many people think crypto, they think, oh, that's that grift that the president of the United States is all tied up with. And
I think ransomware is also harming the
well, certainly. Yeah, I mean,
and
it always has been, right? That's not new.
Ransomware was basically empowered by crypto. Before,
yeah, I mean, literally
before cryptocurrency, you had to buy cards at 7-Eleven to pay off your ransomware.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rounding error of ransomware that doesn't use cryptocurrencies. So.
Right.
It's the use case for crypto to me.
At its peak, Bitcoin was $125,000. It's off 40% off its peak. It's now $73,000 dollars. So it is. Do you think so? And there were people like the Winklevoss twins who said, "Oh, it's going to reach 1 million."
They still say that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they have quite a bit of it.
That's the thing, is the people who say that tend to have sort of a vested interest in it doing that.
They're hoping it hits 1 million.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you bought it when it was $1 or $10 or $1,000, you're still way ahead.
Like the Winklevoss twins.
Like the Winklevoss, yeah. The problem I always had with it is, unlike almost any other investment, it's not tied to performance of anything. It's the value is tied to perception, nothing else.
I would say that's not unlike everything else. I mean, if you look
at
the
stock market,
any fiat currency.
Yeah.
No,
Say
wait
it's
a
different
minute.
for fiat currency because you have the weight of the United States military.
I guess
but-
you're right. The dollar is worth only what people say it's worth. I guess you're right. But if you buy a share of Apple, it's to some degree tied to Apple's performance.
But what if you buy
only
a
to the
share
degree that investors think it is?
Yeah, like what about GameStop or Bed Bath & Beyond or
Tesla?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that, increasingly we're getting more and more financial instruments that are they're literally purely speculative, whether it's a meme coin, a more traditional type of cryptocurrency, a stock.
I tricked y'all because I've been arguing this for years and everybody yells at me when I say it, that stocks are just as imaginary as anything else. So I tricked you into agreeing with me. Thank you very much. Not that I can, briefly, I thought I better get out of the stock market because this is it. I mean, I have to live on this for the rest of my life. That's my retirement savings. And I thought, well, what if I just have cash? Because then I know how much I'll have. But then inflation started to whittle it away. And I thought, and then I looked at the stock market and unaccountably it's been going up. And I thought, well, I guess I'm making a mistake not being, even if it's imaginary, you kind of have to play the game. Right.
Yeah, I'm with you. The same set of reasons that Molly gave for why Bitcoin, crypto, has not, just soared, tariffs, wars, instability, all that kind of stuff. And yet we just set another record, I believe, for
it's amazing.
The
stock market. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about this also, Molly. Hundreds of prolific Wikipedia editors are threatening to go on strike. What happened?
Yeah. So
because I should give you the audience the information that you are one of those prolific Wikipedia editors. Since you were a teenager, you've been editing Wikipedia.
Yes.
And
although
doing
I've yet
a great job.
To go on strike, but that's largely because I've been so busy. I haven't been doing it anyway.
Okay, you're not one of the people threatening to strike.
Not at the current moment, but So I think basically what happened is there's something called the community wish list, which is a way for community members to basically request software features from the Wikimedia Foundation. And as a little bit of backstory, the community members are the people who edit the encyclopedia, write the content, all that kind of thing.
Volunteers for the most part, right?
Yes, correct. The Wikimedia Foundation is a foundation that employs software engineers and many other types of employees. And they, among other things, developed the MediaWiki software that the Wikipedia and other wikis like it run on. And so the community wish list was a way for community members to request that the software engineers at the foundation prioritize various features that the community felt were important.
And those engineers are paid staff.
Correct. They're staff members, yes.
Okay.
There are volunteer community developers, but that's a whole other can of worms and not particularly pertinent to this. And so what happened recently was that the Wikimedia Foundation announced that they would be changing the way that they handle the community wish list, and instead of having a team that was largely devoted to that task, they would instead sort of spread the work among the foundation's existing software engineers working on various other projects. And in doing so, they would also lay off a number of the engineers who were on that team.
Suman, who was writing about this, the Deputy Chief Product and Technology Officer at Wikimedia Foundation, said it's a bottleneck to have this centralized team.
That was what... Yeah, they were sort of portraying it as, this isn't working very well. We hear feedback from the community that there's not enough priority going to this wish list. And so we're changing how it works because we think it's going to work better for you. Right. But the community really took it more as we're getting rid of the people who do the wish list stuff, and all these other engineers who have their own list of tasks that they're trying to do already are not going to prioritize the community wish list tasks. And so it's going to only make the problem worse. And then there was the added fact that some people, at least, are there has been an effort among Wikimedia Foundation employees to unionize, and some of the people who were laid off were active in the unionization efforts. And so there's been allegations, at least, that the layoffs were more to do with union busting than to do with any particular community wish list material. And so that's where a lot of the anger is coming from, is not just the fact that they feel like the wish list is being deprioritized, but they feel that the Wikimedia Foundation was also punishing people who are trying to unionize.
The foundation has responded. Selena Duckelman, who's the CPTO of the foundation, has responded and thanked people for the conversations. Do you feel like, I don't know if you followed this closely, maybe this is something you haven't been following, but was her response sufficient, you think?
No, it wasn't sufficient. Certainly not to the people in the community. And I mean, I think one bit of background that's a little challenging for people who are not heavily involved with the Wikimedia projects is that there is a long-running issue between the Wikimedia community, the volunteers, and the foundation. That has been a very strained relationship for decades. It's, I mean, almost an adversarial relationship. And it's one that I think the Wikimedia Foundation is working to improve. But incidents like this happen fairly often where the community feels like they're not being heard, like they're being deprioritized. And, you know, in this case, I think people from the Wikimedia Foundation made comments along the lines of like, this is us listening to you. We're trying to do, and, you know, the community is saying, we didn't ask for this. We didn't want you to lay off these people. You know, this is the opposite of what we want. And so I think it was a miss there. I mean, I'm actually on a group, or I'm a member of a group that is specifically supposed to be improving communication between sort of the technical staff at the Wikimedia Foundation and the community, and we were barely consulted and sort of not brought into the loop. So I think it was just a really bad situation all around, and another in a long list of examples where the Wikimedia Foundation has not handled well its relationship with the community of volunteers that it relies upon to continue existing.
This is a historic tension. I mean, you've seen it again and again in so many areas. Do you think the Wikimedia Foundation is not a good steward of Wikipedia?
No, I actually think the Wikimedia Foundation is a good steward, but I think that it is unfortunately prone to stepping on rakes when it comes to its relationship with the community. I mean, it despite having been the steward of Wikimedia for so long, it seems to have a very poor understanding of the Wikimedia community and how to interact with that community. And to be fair, the community is very challenging, and I've been on the opposite side of it before as well. Yeah. But, you know, I think it's just frustrating to see things like this happening over and over and over again. And I should add that some of the people who were laid off they started as community members, they were community developers, they had some of the best context available as far as developing some of the features on the wish list. And so to see them removed and then have that painted as, this is us prioritizing the wish list, we're trying to make things better for all of you, like you asked, you know, I think it felt like a slap in the face.
They did say that all 6 are currently still employed and that they've been trying to place them elsewhere in the organization, and 3 people have been offered jobs. So maybe there will be a happy outcome.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think there's a lot of hope that, you know, the community wish list will continue to be maintained. I have my doubts that the strategy of trying to just have every engineer try to remember to work on it once in a while is actually going to, you know, cause it to be prioritized, but we'll see.
It's good to have a dedicated team. I agree. Yeah. Well, good. Well, thank you. I mean, I donate to Wikimedia every month. I feel like the Wikipedia is such a huge, valuable thing. I'm really grateful to volunteers like you, Molly, who work so hard to keep it useful. And even in this age of AI and disinformation and truthiness, it remains still an amazing, useful tool and full of facts. And in fact, frankly, most AI would not be as good without Wikipedia. I know Google wouldn't be as good without Wikipedia.
I don't think any of them would. It's a core part of the training set.
Right.
And I think that's a big portion of why the conversation around a strike among editors is somewhat controversial, because ultimately editors, you know, the top priority is to provide high quality information. And so doing something that would stop that is, you know, even if editors think it would potentially further their aims, you know, it doesn't feel good to do that. And it's why things like blacking out Wikipedia, like we did, I think, a decade ago for the SOPA. That was enormously controversial. And, you know, this type of a thing is as well.
We blacked out Twit as well. In fact, we did all our shows in black and white that day for
cool.
SOPA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope things continue. Does Wikipedia, do you know, get any support from these frontier AI companies? I mean,
yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So there is.
They should be donating like crazy.
Yeah, there is basically a model called Wikimedia Enterprise where AI companies pay for, they don't pay, it's not that they're paying for the data, they sort of pay for the highway. So it's, a sort of a high
access. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a high speed sort of API, and it's formatted in such a way that is much easier for these companies to ingest, and they in turn pay for the privilege. And so I think it's a fairly good system. It was controversial when it was announced.
I remember.
Largely because it was misunderstood.
Right. You're doing deals with AI companies. Yeah.
Well, and I think people thought that, that there were some questionably written headlines, I think, around the announcement that almost implied that that Wikipedia was incorporating AI content into Wikipedia.
Oh, no.
And so I think people were upset about that. And then, some people, it was like, oh, you're doing a deal with the devil, which, you can't really.
We had Jimmy Wales on right about that time to clarify things on intelligent machines. I remember, yeah. Good, because it would be the greatest tragedy ever if anything were to happen to Wikipedia. It is.
Yeah, the big picture here, I've been around long enough to see it go from, a small site into what it is now. Like, I remember literally in the mid-2000s, I was at the New York Times, a memo came out, was sent out to all of us, all of the reporters, like, if you use Wikipedia as your source, it's a fireable offense.
Wow.
And, because back then...
It's the same as the AI regulation today. It's the same rule.
And back then I kind of got it that, there was a lot of revenge. You didn't like someone, so you wrote up the entry. And, like, I've just been so impressed. Like, when I want to get smart about something, it's so good at...
What a resource.
The history, why it works, how it works, that kind of stuff. But it really kind of, I guess the shame, listening to this, I knew nothing about this, is that, I feel like in the mid-2000s, I couldn't have told you if Wikipedia was going to, in quotes, work or not. Would it be essential as it is now?
Neither could we.
Yeah, no one knew.
And just they did such a great job of bringing in the volunteers and all this. So yes, this is
credit to people like Molly.
Yeah.
It is an amazing
really
resource.
Buckled down and made sure the content stays good.
Credit to journalists like you guys, because that's where it comes. That's where the information comes from, among other places.
But those volunteers who sit there on the discussion pages and who really protect the content. God bless them. That is the most important work in the world, especially in a world of AI filled with AI slop.
Yep.
Right.
Speaking of slop.
Gary, what are you writing now?
Here's the Luce. This is Ferrari's first EV. Jony Ive and Love, what is this? Love From. Weirdest name of a company ever. Designed this thing. Jony said, "Oh, I love switches," which is hysterical because he never seemed to love switches much when he was at Apple.
Well, was it him or was it Steve that hated the
Steve
switches?
hated buttons, yeah. People have commented on the design. The interior looks pretty sweet. I like the interior. The exterior, maybe not so much.
There's another good picture in the Discord of the Luce being charged. I think the fundamental problem with the Luce.
Jony always wanted to charge everything from the bottom, so that was
the fundamental problem with the Luce is not necessarily so much the design itself. It's just that it's not. It doesn't fit as a Ferrari.
It doesn't look.
It makes no sense as a Ferrari. Yeah. A lot of people commented, this would have been a great design for something like, Honda's now canceled 0 Series EVs. It's also got a lot of resemblance to a Jaguar I-Pace. There's a lot of things that it looks like, but it doesn't look like what they think a Ferrari should look like.
Yeah.
And, executives from Ferrari have been talking this week about it, and the way they explain it is that, we still have all the other traditional Ferraris, the cars that Ferrari lovers expect, but Ferrari owners tend to own multiple cars. They don't just own a Ferrari. They own many different kinds of vehicles, and sometimes they want a sedan like this. I mean, if you look across the industry at premium brands, Porsche really got this kicked off 25-ish years ago when they launched the Cayenne, their first SUV, and the Cayenne. A lot of Porsche fans still dislike the Cayenne, but the fact is the Cayenne has been the best-selling Porsche ever since it launched.
Wow!
And if it wasn't for the Porsche Cayenne, and then subsequently the Macan and the
Taycan, which is
not so much the Taycan, but the Panamera. Right. If it wasn't for those vehicles, then Porsche probably would not be in business still building 911s today. They could not survive just on building sports cars. Same thing is true with Lamborghini. They have the Urus. Rolls-Royce
but really,
launched the Cullinan a few years ago.
Has like just a car for everybody? No,
but they I think they feel like they need, or they wanted some other option. And they were looking for some way to get into the EV business. Now, I am not defending this particular car. I still think, I don't think it was necessarily a bad idea to do a Ferrari sedan.
It definitely looks like a mouse.
But I don't think that this is a good design for a Ferrari. Yeah. It could have been for any number of other brands, but not as a Ferrari. Yeah. So that's where the problem is. But I do like the interior. I think the interior's got some really interesting details.
Analog clock for one thing. Yeah.
And the touchscreen that is on a pivot, so you can pivot it over towards the passenger, if they want to do something on the touchscreen. You've got manual vents, that you can just reach out and grab and redirect the airflow.
Unlike the BMW, which has a touchscreen for vents. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Tesla. Yeah.
Yeah, there's obviously been a lot of speculation in the last week that this originated as the design for the Apple car.
That's what the question was for me, and I'd seen that, is that this is what Jony Ive wanted the Project Titan Apple car to look like. Yeah. Do you think that's true?
I wouldn't be surprised if it would have been similar to this shape.
Yeah.
But I think the interior
was going to be self-driving, right?
That was the goal, was to make it, self-driving, to have no human controls in it.
Right.
Apple was nowhere close to being able to achieve that.
Right.
But
that's why they killed it.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of reasons why they killed it. I think they probably realized that they were never going to get the kind of margins on a car that they get with the rest of their business. And, they figured if we can't get 35-40% profit margins on the car, and they're certainly not going to be able to sell very many, $600,000 cars. So if they can't get the profit margins they want, then, they killed it. And I think that was probably a wise choice, for Apple. Apple doesn't need to be in the car business.
Yeah.
But, Ferrari, I think, could have done something more Ferrari-like and still achieved the overall goals of this particular car.
Well, Jony Ive has many jobs, one of which is, for which he got paid $3.2 billion, is designing a device for OpenAI. We don't know what will be, what it will look like, but there's some rumor that it might be out by next year, a pendant, perhaps. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Kind of
not glasses. Seems like the rest of the world's kind of converging on the idea that glasses are going to be the AI interface.
But people get creeped out by glasses, especially if it has a camera. They think you're recording them.
Yeah.
Well, would they be any less creeped out by a pendant that had a camera on it?
That's true. If it has a camera, it's kind of the same deal.
I did actually see somebody with one of those humane AI pendants on a plane once. Yeah, on an airplane. About a couple of weeks before humane AI went poof.
Yeah. This apparently Apple's glasses, which they're going to call the Apple Audio, even though they will have cameras. I think they don't want anybody to think about the cameras. You kind of need cameras, because part of this is the AI seeing what you're seeing and informing you about it. It's going to be interesting. Apple's going to try this, I think. That's the rumor.
It's funny. I'm more creeped out by the audio. It's like
really
wearing a pen and it's always listening.
Oh, recording.
I mean, do I have to get permission?
You don't want to hang around with Leo then.
Yeah. I mean, I stopped wearing all those. People yelled at me. I used to wear the B bracelet and I had all the recording devices because that's part of the personal agent thing. The ideal personal agent would hear everything I am hearing, see everything I'm seeing, digest it, absorb it, and offer it for my consumption later or for my queries down the road. What were Molly White and I talking about with Wikimedia? What was that all about? Leo, don't you remember? No.
That's why I asked the question.
I'm asking you. Don't you remember? I have no idea, Leo. I don't know.
I'm not sure if this is great for marriages or the worst thing like that.
The reason I don't wear it, my wife told me,
said that.
Yeah, no, my wife told me not to wear it. That's exactly why I don't wear it anymore.
It was still a lot of arguments, but I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Gerald Tompkins in our YouTube chat says that's because your wife's job is to remind you. Your personal agent is your wife. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, boy. Okay, don't touch that one.
She is not available at all during all conversations. All right, one more break, and then a couple of just wrap it up stories, including Peter Thiel evacuating the United States. Oh, boy.
We'll miss him.
Good riddance.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah. More to come. You're watching This Week in Tech with Molly White, Sam Abul-Samad, and Gary Rivlin's great panel. Great to have all three of you here. Our show today brought to you by Doppel. This is something I take to heart. We got bit by a phishing email the other day. And my greatest fear, honestly, is not so much the phishing email, but the vishing email. You've heard about vishing, right? It's voice phishing, where you can actually duplicate somebody's voice so well that, listen, this could be your CEO. Hey, Burke, this is definitely not Leo asking you to buy gift cards, but seriously, can you grab me 100 Apple gift cards? Just kidding. And that is not me. That was not my voice. It is my voice, but it was generated by our AI guru, Anthony Nielsen, as an example of how easy it is. He said, with 4 minutes of your voice, I was able to make this. And imagine, maybe that voicemail is an urgent message from your CEO, or maybe it's a deep fake targeting your business. Now, these days, AI can impersonate trusted individuals like that. That's why you need Doppel. Doppel's platform can protect you. They actually did an interesting test to illustrate how frequently users fall for these phishing attempts. They did voice call simulation deployments. Target users spent on average 6 minutes conversing with deepfakes, and afterwards, when asked, 100% of them believed the AI was real. Doppel is the AI native social engineering defense platform. Doppel strengthens human risk management by training employees to recognize deception, while their digital risk protection detects and disrupts attacks across every channel. As attackers turn to AI to power increasingly sophisticated strikes like the one you just heard, Doppel uses it to fight back with automated takedowns, multi-channel coverage, and AI defenses that build intelligence with every fight. Doppel works relentlessly to protect people, brands, and trust. Doppel offers best-in-class integrations and partnerships to seamlessly integrate into your existing security tech stack. You'll like that. And Doppel's industry awards and testimonials speak for themselves. Doppel's been recognized as a winner 2026 G2 leader in users most likely to recommend, momentum leader, and best support. Join hundreds of companies already using Doppel to protect their brand and people from social engineering attacks. We need it these days. We need it. Doppel, outpacing what's next in social engineering. Learn more at doppel.com. That's DOPPEL.com. And Burke, don't buy those gift cards. That wasn't me. That wasn't me saying it. Couple of real quickies before we wrap things up. Peter Thiel, who has invested a lot into companies like Palantir, has decided it's not safe to be in the United States anymore. He has moved to Argentina, according to the New York Times, partly motivated by concerns about the future of the United States and shared beliefs with Argentina's right-wing leader. There he goes into the presidential palace in Argentina. This is so annoying. Thanks for screwing everything up, Peter, and then leaving.
So didn't he bought this huge compound in New Zealand? He became a New Zealand citizen. It was like many hundreds of acres.
Yep.
And you know, I mean, I don't know from their government.
He has citizenship in New Zealand. He got that in 2011. He applied for a Maltese passport in 2022. Basically, this is what these rich guys do now. They have plan B, C, and D.
Yeah, whenever I see someone accumulating passports, I'm like, are they trying to flee the country at some point to like a non-extradition country? Like you see it with the crypto billionaires a lot of the time. I'm always like, where are you trying to end up?
The New York Times says he's moved himself and his family to Argentina. His children are enrolled in a local school. The Argentine government is offering him permanent residence or even a citizenship. He's bought plot properties in not only in the Beverly Hills of Buenos Aires, but also in neighboring Uruguay.
He's just covering all his bases.
You know who else ran off to Argentina and Uruguay in 1945?
Yeah, right.
Interesting.
I will say both of those countries do have extradition treaties with the United States, so maybe not what's happening.
Yeah, I don't think he's fleeing prosecution. I think he's fleeing the economy that he built.
Yeah. Well,
the AI, the surveillance.
But he doesn't need to flee. When you're that rich, it doesn't matter.
Of all the people, I know.
Well, have you read Douglas Rushkoff's book about that? About how like all these billionaires who are ruining the world are themselves building bunkers because they sort of fear what they've created. We
had Douglas on to talk about that book. It's a great book, and it talks about, the former anti-ballistic missile sites and the ICBM sites that billionaires are building little hidey holes in.
Yeah. Under the ballroom.
The ballroom would make an excellent place to put many, many stories. I mean, it's just wild. Survival of the Richest is the name of that book, by the way.
I kind of knew Thiel for a while. I wrote a profile. I profiled him in the New York Times Magazine in 2005 before he was such a big deal. I remember we were talking in the 2010s, and he was talking about New Zealand and leaving. Like, you can't. Like, we were talking about Trump, and it just like, I don't know how it's gonna go, but it's such a broken system. Let's twist the kaleidoscope. It's like, okay, dude. Like, I have kids. I have to earn. I can't just do that. Now I guess he has kids too, and he's gonna run.
Doesn't matter. He can afford to do it, right?
Well, but the stakes in like the experimentation, I think, are different when it's just for you. Like you just kind of, it almost reminds me of trading places. For $1 bet, you could screw up all these people's lives, kind of thing, because you're immune, you're protected from the consequences. But I guess the news from that is like Peter Thiel has kids. I did not know that.
Yeah. I mean, I would have no problem with just loading all these guys on a starship and sending them to Mars. They all seem to want to go there anyway, so.
Musk will get richer. He'll reach his million faster. Yeah, there you go.
So frustrating that they create this dystopia.
I will say I did love the part about the Pope, not quoting, but sort of alluding to Tolkien in his AI thing.
Right.
Where when Peter Thiel names all his companies after Lord of the Rings.
Palantir and Anduril.
Palantir. It just felt like a little bit of a shady choice.
I think the Pope knew exactly what he was doing.
So too.
Is what you're saying.
No, that was not a coincidence.
Absolutely not.
I think you're right. Robotaxis are spreading across the U.S., says the Wall Street Journal, and so is the Backlash. You've seen this, Sam, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're having a few issues. Waymo, as they keep scaling to more and more cities, are encountering more and more problems. Recent weeks, following some storms in the south, you had multiple Waymo robotaxis driving into floodwaters and getting stuck.
With passengers?
This is an Atlanta cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
For some reason, all these Waymos have decided to
basically
up
repeating
there.
what they did in San Francisco. Yeah. Well, there was another neighborhood where there was just strings of them just going round and round this roundabout in a neighborhood.
It's like the ant thing where they get stuck in the spiral.
Basically, yeah. They're still having some issues with recognizing school buses and responding properly to school buses.
That's not good.
There was at least one incident in California where one went speeding through a construction zone. So they have paused all highway operations, which they've been doing for a while now. So they've stopped driving on the highway, and they have reduced some of the operations in a variety of cities under various conditions while they try to sort out these problems. But part of the problem here is, over the last 8-9 years or so, Waymo, like everybody else, has transitioned to a more and more AI-based approach for their software stack, which actually makes it much more difficult to diagnose what's going wrong. So they've gotten away from the rules-based system that they started with, and it's much more of a monolithic AI
Should
solution.
we be worried? Morgan Stanley says 30% of the rideshare industry will be autonomous by 2032. Or is that maybe a little optimistic?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big industry, and it's not going to entirely replace the rideshare industry anytime in the foreseeable future, because the problem is the costs are still high, and unless you get a really high level of utilization, the economics don't really work with these vehicles.
They're currently still losing money then.
Oh yeah, nobody's making money on this, and they probably won't be for a number of years, which is why companies like Ford and GM pulled out and said, yeah, we're not going to get into the robotaxi business. We got too many other fish to fry right now. We don't need to be spending our money on this. So what you'll see happening in more and more cities is that the robotaxis will kind of form the baseline, because you have a real fluctuation in demand through the course of the day. It's not constant through the course of a day. So robotaxis will kind of form the baseline, and then during heavy demand periods, that's when you'll see the human-driven cars coming in to supplement and crank up the supply of vehicles.
Here's something for you, Gary. There's a company called Shift that is offering free house cleaning in New York City.
Train their robots. You have free, but you have to you have to be observed. I am not
Free
signing up.
asterisk.
Yeah, exactly.
We record first-person cleaning footage to help train the next generation of household robots. So for a limited time, we cover the cost of professional cleaners. They come in, they have cameras attached to their head. They record first-person video. And then you get a spotless apartment. We get training data. Everybody wins, says Shift.
Not
going to do it, huh?
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. It's almost the same reaction I do to cars. It's like, 35,000, 40,000 Americans die every year in cars. I think that autonomous vehicles, could be safer. I'm all for, what was it from the Jetsons, Janie or Rosie. The idea that, some robot's going to clean up, it's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars to buy the robot that's going to clean up or to enlist the service. So I don't know. This seems like a very long play. Let me put it that way. It'll be a long, long time before these bots will be cleaning up houses.
So is this like a bipedal robot cleaning?
Well, we don't know because it's a human that comes in with the camera.
Right, but do you know what they're training for?
Well, it must be bipedal.
to create bipedal robots.
Because,
or to sell the training data to companies that are doing bipedal robots.
Yes.
More likely it's that, Sam.
Yeah.
That they know that, Elon Musk's Optimus robots.
Well, there's the one, I can't remember the name of the company. Joanna Stern did a great video on this one a few months ago where she had one of these bipedal robots in her house. And it turned out that most of what it was doing was being teleoperated. So there was somebody sitting back in Silicon Valley watching the screen, through the cameras of the robot, and teleoperating this thing. And so far, none of these things are The only ones that are even remotely impressive are the Boston Dynamics Atlas and a few of the Chinese robots.
The dog robot.
Yeah,
I
well,
will say,
Atlas is the bipedal one.
It's
Spot
bipedal.
is the dog.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But
I have recently come around to robot vacuums, and I am a convert in that department.
Even with having a dog in your house.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Which one do you have?
He's a little afraid of it, but it's no big deal.
Which one do you use, Molly? Do you want to give them
it's one of the Dream ones. I can't remember which model. Dreamy, maybe. Yeah. My biggest thing, the vacuum, I could sort of take or leave, but it mops, and I hate mopping so much that has made a huge difference for me.
Oh, I entered Dreamy, and I got a picture of Cristiano Ronaldo.
It's Dream with an E. Oh no, that's still
it is him.
Yeah.
It is them.
Weird that they have him. What a weird thing for
these are the guys that had an event in San Francisco about a month ago, and they unveiled this rocket-powered EV that would go 0 to 60 in 0.9 seconds.
Hell yeah! Can they do that to my vacuum?
Crash even faster, ladies and gentlemen. I think we can wrap things up with that dystopian note. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Gary Rivlin, whose house will not be cleaned by volunteers, is the author of a very good book about this, which turned out to be kind of prophetic, AI Valley. You can find more on his website, GaryRivlin.com. When's your podcast? Are you starting a podcast, Gary?
No, I'm not starting a podcast.
God, good.
I don't think there's enough for them, though, but I'm not doing my part.
No, we need more podcasts. Yes. Well, I just look forward to your novel or your son's screenplay, one or the other. I think that's such
I'm looking forward to him making $20 million in the first 3 days.
There you go. That's right. That's right. Tell him to find something.
I want points. You did it in my apartment. I want points.
Gary, always a pleasure. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Molly White, you got to go there. Citationneeded.news. Great newsletter and podcast. If you look at the podcast feed, there will be a story about Citizens United coming soon.
It'll be on the newsletter too. You can't miss it.
Nice. And of course, all of our other sites as well. It's always a pleasure, Molly. Thank you for the work you do. It's I think, so important. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, always a pleasure. And my car guy, Samable Samad, who secretly feeds me car ideas. I have an AI go out every week, Sam, and look at everything and try to, because I've got to decide what to get in the next few months. And but I think your recommendations are 10 times better than the AI's. So maybe would you mind if I can incorporate your brain into it?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think I will.
And I would like to put in a plug. Starting next Sunday, my friends and I will be doing another Operation Frodo event.
What's that?
This is
Are you throwing a ring into a volcano?
No rings, no volcanoes. This is dog rescue. So we've been doing this every December now for the last 4 years, and we transport rescue dogs from Nebraska to the Pacific Northwest. So it's all people in automotive media. And so we borrow vehicles from automaker press fleets, and we get donations to cover the costs. So we will be leaving 1 week from today, next Sunday morning, June 7th. We'll be leaving Omaha, driving to Cheyenne, and then on to Salt Lake City, Ontario, Oregon, and finishing up in Portland with about 12 or 13 dogs this time. We've transported 88 dogs over the last 4 years, and this time is going to be a little different because we're doing it all with a fleet of electric vehicles.
Oh, cool!
So we've got a Cadillac Escalade IQ, a Lucid Gravity, a Hyundai Ioniq 9, and a Kia EV9. And
are the car makers providing those vehicles?
Yeah, they're loaning us the vehicles. EVgo is sponsoring. They're providing us with free charging at Pilot Flying J travel centers, which there's a whole string of them all the way along I-80. And there's actually a lot more DC fast charging stations popping up this year, even with the federal government trying to pull back and kill this stuff. There was 1,000 new DC fast charging stations that launched in the first quarter of this year. So I will be driving that Cadillac from my home out to Omaha, starting on Friday afternoon. So we'll be going about 2,700 miles. To transport these dogs.
Where can we learn more about this year's? This is
right
last
there.
year's Operation Frodo.
Yeah, so this is the main site, Animal Rescue Rigs.
Okay.
And there, you'll find stuff on here, and you'll find
There's
stuff
Sam.
on social
That's
media
cool.
from all of the participants. So just look around on Instagram and Blue Sky and elsewhere. Some people will be posting on Facebook, the longer term goal, we're raising a fund to purchase and equip vehicles to put with shelters and rescue organizations around the country, so that they can transport animals whenever they need to, rather than just waiting on us to do it a couple of times a year. So there's a donate button on the site on Animal Rescue Rigs. You can make donations there. As we build up this fund and continue rescuing dogs.
That is so great.
And you can also donate to some of the specific rescue organizations that we work with.
And thanks to the car makers for doing this. That is
we've had a whole bunch of automakers that have supported us over the last 4 years.
Really cool.
Subaru's always been a big supporter of
yes, because everybody who has a Subaru has a dog. I've noticed that.
But Toyota's a big supporter. Hyundai and Kia are really big supporters. They've helped us out on pretty much every one of these drives.
That's really cool.
And this is the first time with GM and with Lucid participating.
Ooh. What are you going to be driving?
I'll be driving the Escalade out to Omaha.
You said that. Yeah.
But then once we get to Omaha, we'll be, over the 4 days of the trip, we will be rotating through all 4 vehicles that we've got. So I'll spend some more time in the Escalade, but also
is it all Beagles? I see a lot of Beagles.
So the organization in Omaha is the Basset and Beagle Rescue of the Heartland.
Okay.
So it's mostly Beagles or Beagle mixes. And the reason why there's a lot of Beagles, Nick Miles, who started this whole thing 4.5 years ago, one of his dogs, a Beagle, died, and he got connected with Basset and Beagle Rescue of the Heartland. And he wanted to adopt one of their dogs, and he found out that there was a real surplus of beagles, especially in the fall in the Midwest. Because what happens is hunters at the end of hunting season, the dogs that aren't doing the trick for them, they will just abandon them or shoot them. And then puppy mills that were, if they don't sell the pups by the time they're about 4 months old, they want to get rid of them. So there's a surplus of them in that part of the country.
But they need them in Washington State.
There's a demand for them in the Pacific Northwest. There's not very many of them that you can find. So we work with
Drop one off in Petaluma on your way, would you? Because I love beagles. I would love a beagle. Yeah,
they got the
best
make that
ears.
Happen. Yeah,
they got really good ears.
Yeah.
There's a remarkable sort of like dog distribution systems throughout the United States. Like, and they do the same thing from the south to the north, and
I mean, with so much, with so much of the bad stuff that what we've talked about today,
something happens.
It feels so good to do something positive, and we get really attached to these dogs after 4 days.
I bet you do.
But Robbie Baldwin's going to be with us. He's going to be one of our drivers this time.
Wheel Bearings, your podcast,
So watch out for Operation
rescued.
Frodo on social media next week. Clyde, my friend Paul, adopted Clyde in December. He fell in love with Clyde.
Clyde's adorable.
Clyde is a Beagle and Border Collie mix.
Oh boy, that's an interesting mix.
Yeah, he's a sweetie.
That's an interesting mix. Oh, look at these sweeties. I love that. Well, have fun on your drive. That is really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Should be great. Yeah. And we'll be writing stories about the trip, and I'll be doing a story for greencars.com on road tripping across the country with EVs. So there'll be lots of interesting stories coming out of this over the next few weeks.
It's a great Beagle migration.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam and Bull Sam, and of course, wheelbearings.media is his podcast. Thanks to all three of you. Really great show. Really, really appreciate it. We do Twit every Sunday afternoon. And, I love doing this because I get to talk to smart people about what's going on in the world. I hope you enjoy the show. You can watch us do it live if you want from 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific, 5 to 8 Eastern, or 2100 UTC. If you're in the club, of course, club members get to watch special access behind the velvet rope in our Club Twit Discord. But we also stream it on YouTube, Twitch, X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Kick. You can watch and chat with us from 2 to 5 Pacific every Sunday. After the fact, you can download the show. We have audio and video available at our website, twit.tv. There is a YouTube channel dedicated to This Week in Tech. Great way to share clips. And, of course, the best way to get any of the shows on the Twit Network is to subscribe. Just find your favorite podcast client. We're in all of them. And search for Twit. Pick the shows you want. You get them automatically as soon as we're done. And if you like the show, leave us a good review because that helps spread the word. We've been doing this for a long time, and I thank everybody for your support over these 21 years. A special thanks to our club members who really make this possible. They cover the costs. Advertising helps, but it's the club members that get us to pay everybody who's working on the staff. People like Benito and Kevin King will be editing the show. We appreciate your support. Twit.tv/ClubTwit if you're not a member and you'd like to know more. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. And as I've been saying for 21 years, smile for the camera. Another Twit is in the can. Take a picture of them. Right there. That one. Got it.
This is amazing.